welcome to Roundtable Live for March 24th, 2017. I am BaerTaffy, joined by Rockley, Smile, Mathis Games, and Northern Lion. Welcome back, y'all. It's just the old crew. It's been a little bit since we've just been the four of us, but here we are again, ready to dazzle you.
No Austin,
but dazzle.
No Austin this time. He's
thank God.
He's playing Zelda, probably.
Yeah.
Here's my impression of Austin. You know, don't insult my best friend Zelda.
The game is a 10 out of 10, perfect in all ways.
It does nothing wrong.
I mean, he's gone from playing Breath of the Wild to Hollow Knight now, so he's just proceeding through 2017's list of Game of the Year candidates right out of the gate.
That's true. Mass Effect Andromeda coming up next.
Mass Effect. That's the sequel to Black Flag, I believe.
Don't make fun of me.
Got him.
Got him.
We got a lot of games to talk about this week because the headlines include Andromeda's animations are wacky and everybody hates JonTron. So that's not the news we want to talk about. We want to talk about video games instead. We're going to talk about PLAYERUNKNOWN'S Battlegrounds. The new Rocket League mode Dropshot just came out and everybody's excited about that, right? Just as excited as me. That's right. We need to go deeper, also coming out. Battle Brothers, Streets of Rogue, All Walls Must Fall, Everything, the PS4 release of the video game entitled Everything, NieR Automata, and we're going to get back to Hollow Knight as well now that we've had quite a bit more experience with it as a group. Hopefully be able to have that conversation again today. Starting off, though, well, really starting off, what I do want to say is that mesh chairs, oh my God, you got to get one. It's the way to go. Like,
you got that Silicon Valley chair.
Dude, this thing, I did not realize how unhappy my ass was. My ass and my lower back in particular. Like, when I get up, I feel like I'm being pushed by an angel by the lower behind. Like, it is correct.
All right, let's not get too carried away. They're pretty nice.
No, dude, this is a whole nother level of existence that we're talking about here. I can't even comprehend it.
It's very important to have a comfortable chair if you're sitting on your ass all day, and I think the mesh chairs are on a whole other level than cushioned chairs for a number of reasons. Not only just for the comfort and the support, but also for the ventilation.
Oh, yeah.
You don't realize when you're sitting all the time, you get swamp ass.
Bone dry down here right now, though. It's oh my goodness, it is just comfort.
I mean, probably TMI, but like honestly, that is a thing. When you're sitting there, you're starting to sweat a little bit. And these things, you don't get that as much. It's much better.
It's the way to go.
Highly recommended.
It's the way to go. But
I didn't even get an expensive one. Mine's like a $200 one. Bear got the high price one.
Don't buy it. It's too much money, but it was worth it.
I want one of those.
It's really good. I like if you spend most of your day in the same sedentary spot, I think you got to invest a little bit in yourself, right? You got to invest a little bit in that.
Agreed.
In that moment. So.
But you're missing the DX Racer branded pillow.
I know, man. Nice.
I mean, to be honest, the Racer is fine.
Yeah.
Like
that's how I'd qualify it too. It's fine.
Once you own it, the big negative of it being more expensive than it's probably worth is already done. So at that point, you're just sitting in it, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not against it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of getting a new chair is deciding what to do with the old chair, so you're kind of in it once you're in it.
Chairs are hella personal, man. They're like a mattress or a pair of shoes. You gotta get.
Are those the same examples you used the other day?
That was actually
mattress is one.
I want the chair from Silicon Valley, but then like I googled like chair from Silicon Valley, and it came up with like all these. The links were like all in German, and I was like, "That's too expensive."
Is this the?
If I can't find an English distributor, no, Bear, you got the knockoff. HBO pays for the real deal, okay? It's got like a third vertebrae pillow that comes out in addition to the head one, and then the rest of the back
just surrounds your neck. It's like a little gentle strangulation. It's really nice.
Exactly.
I got mine from Staples online.
That's good.
Wow.
That was my previous life, man. It's just I'd walk in there and I'd sit on chairs. Like you said, you gotta test a chair for like 10 hours before you really know, man.
You can't you can't wing it, which is exactly what I did with this chair.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Meanwhile, Rob is using like a bar stool or something like
He's on
that.
his fucking bed, man.
using his prison cot.
I've been there.
At one point, he was using a chair he found outside, like being thrown away.
Really?
He brought it home. Yeah.
That's, I
Going
mean,
home is-
I
It's very
admire
Rob.
that.
It's
I've
very
been
Rob.
there. I've done that myself with furniture, and it works when it does. But you're taking some risks going that route. That's for damn
Yeah.
sure.
I don't think it lasted.
All right,
Oh,
enough
there
about.
you go. No, not enough about.
Sorry.
Are you using the Herman Miller Aeron bear?
No, that's the one that came pretty highly recommended. I got myself. This is actually courtesy of Rumble Muffin.
He has the
Recommended
Harmon
it.
Millar.
Yeah, there you go. I'm trying to pull up the link here.
It's $975.
They go on
Nice.
sale.
No.
That is,
Nice.
it's probably the most expensive chair, but it's the most widely adopted amongst the industry of people sitting.
The
So
Aeron?
office workers, people working in like creative jobs, people working in tech startups. Everybody's
That's a
got
nice
the
looking
Aerons.
chair.
Yeah, the
They're
Aeron. No, that's the
extremely expensive.
That's the $900 one, right? The Aeron.
Yeah, that's correct.
So mine was $600, and that's still a lot of money for a chair. But I'm thinking, like, if I get 10 years out of this puppy, that's not bad. That's not a bad rate. I'll pay that $60 a year for this thing. All right, enough about my ass.
I did say the industry of people sitting, didn't I?
For those sitting-minded folks out there. All right, let's talk about some video games.
Sure.
PLAYERUNKNOWN'S Battlegrounds hitting early access on Steam this week, just yesterday, in fact. So this-
Surprisingly, you don't need to sign some weird, like, I have 50,000 Twitch followers to buy the game.
Really?
To buy it even.
Just buy the game.
Good
you
to
have
know.
to have 50,000 subscribers.
This is available.
So, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds
Yes.
is like, if you're asking like what separates this from H1Z1, it's almost nothing. And I say that as someone who's probably, I've got like 6 hours in the game already, and I bought it after the NLSS yesterday. Like I played a game for leisure, which, okay, I have 2 hours in it.
I
But you
played
know,
it for 2 hours.
it felt like 6 hours.
Felt
bro.
like
it
six.
it
What a
felt like
compliment.
6. It felt like 6 good hours, though, is what I'm trying to say. It is. I mean, I don't know if we're in this section of the show yet, but it is H1Z1, except it has better gunplay. It has like modifications you can find that you can put on the guns, so like you could have a different kind of scope or stock or something like that if you care about that. And you choose when to jump out of the airplane in order to start your parachute. So it's actually a lot easier to separate yourself from other teams if you want to. And you can't get out of a moving vehicle at 150 miles an hour and then instantly lose all of your momentum to shotgun somebody in the face. So the fact that you now, if you get out of a car that's going 150 miles an hour, you will drive over yourself is a huge improvement in terms of the actual combat of that game.
I love that sentence, man. That is.
Well, in H1Z1, like at a certain level, that you're like creeping around the forest, some dude in a police car just comes out and does like a 360 spin and gets out of the car, instantly loses all momentum and shoots you in the head, and then gets back in the car and drives away.
Yeah.
So the fact that there's slight penalties, at least, to trying that strategy is good.
It's H1Z1 minus a lot of the jank, basically.
Yes.
That's what it is. And it's not surprising that it's like H1Z1 because the lead developer comes from H1Z1.
It does also have a spectator mode, which actually makes it watchable on Twitch and YouTube.
Nice.
So now when you die, you can spectate and you can get in like first person mode even, and you can see that Dan Giesling for some reason has no head on his character model, and then, you know.
That seems like an advantage to not be able to be headshotted because you have no head.
Yeah.
We still died all the time, but, you know, we deserved it.
That is important, though. I remember that being one of the big things that turned me off to H1Z1 when I was playing the group game with you guys, was that once you died, you're just sitting there staring at your corpse for potentially an hour or so while your team wipes up the rest of the game. So I'm glad that's there, at least.
I know why H1Z1 doesn't do it. First off, they're trying to, and it's not working, apparently, or slowly. The other one is, like, they don't want you to ghost. But, like, when Austin's, like, spectating me, he's like, hey, there's a dude over there. Like, I can see through your eyes.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, that's an advantage. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter. Like, it makes the game way more watchable and way substantially more playable as well. So as soon as you die, you don't just alt-tab and wait, like, 15 minutes for someone else to die.
If you give the same advantage to everybody, it doesn't become an advantage anymore, right? Like, as long as everyone's able to access that point of view, should work.
Right. It's not like you're seeing the map
Yeah.
and you're like, this guy's in this quadrant or something.
Right. Yeah.
That wouldn't work. The other issues, I'm trying to approach this from the perspective of if I didn't like H1Z1, do I want to play Battlegrounds? Which I think might be the perspective a lot of people have. So the improvements that I definitely noticed from what I've watched of it so far are it just looks better. First of all, it's just a lot more satisfying to look at, and I think it improves gameplay too. To be honest, from what I've seen anyway, like it's a lot more clear to me who's an enemy, like where people are. You can discern people much more easily, or you can pick people out from the environment a lot easier in this game than you could in H1Z1. You have a lot more freedom in your choice of departure zone, first of all, which you already mentioned that at the top of the description, but it is important. Like, that makes a big difference in the overall gameplay, I think, too. There's just a few things that they, like, quality of life things, I think, that I didn't even notice that I probably wanted to have changed in the little time I've spent with H1Z1, but now seeing it in this game, I'm actually kind of intrigued to play it. It looks pretty good so far.
I'm going to be honest with you. If you don't like H1Z1, you should not buy this. Like, you should play it if you get a code, but you should not buy this because it's like
the same thing.
It's the same game. It feels like and I don't mean this in a negative way, because like I'm glad it's iterative. Like the genre is getting better, but like this is basically something that feels like a content patch for H1Z1. You'd be like, wow, that's a great patch, but it is like it's a standalone game.
Sure.
Anyone know why it's called what it's called? Like, what's up with that title?
PlayerUnknown.
So PlayerUnknown is the person who made the Battle Royale mod for Arma originally, and then I believe he was hired by Sony Online Entertainment to make the King of the Kill, like to be the lead on King of the Kill or something like that. So now he's gone and he's making his own game.
Right.
And he's put himself, or they've put himself as part of the branding, despite the fact that nobody until like 2 weeks ago knew who PlayerUnknown was on a large enough level to be like Tony Hawk or something like that.
I was going to say it's like Cliffy B in the Unreal Tournament world, only not.
Exactly, yeah.
More
All right,
or
thank
less.
you for answering that. I didn't know.
It also has like, it's got some grandiose kind of branding on it. Like the loading screen is like, you know, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, the ultimate life and death fight. And you're like, come on.
That's serious shit.
It's still it's arcadey. It's very arcadey compared to like the Arma version, obviously, because Arma is like a hyper realistic, you know, slower paced game than that. So as long as you're okay with like a faster paced, more arcadey, more action packed Battlegrounds, you're gonna enjoy it. And if you like King of the Kill, but you'll wish the jank was missing, like that's what this is. It plays almost the same. So it's fun. I'm bad at it, but I enjoy it a lot. Like my first game, I was proud. My first game, I came in 20th place out of 100 people.
It's pretty good.
And I got 2 kills, so I'll take it. It's not like I hid in the corner and wait until everybody died, and I'm like, I got 20th place. The map's interesting. With these types of games, the map, I feel like could be so cool if there was like an actual game in that world, because it's like overrun, post-apocalyptic. But it's just buildings are more just there for cover, but that's what these games are. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me. I get the appeal. It's like the new hot shit. It's replacing like survival games. But there's these amazingly detailed world, but there's no time to appreciate it because you're just constantly running from the circle of death that is coming for you.
Mathis, I love your T-shirt, by the way.
Expert mode, hell yeah.
Expert mode, PlayStation 1.
This is from my mom from Christmas.
Damn.
I can tell.
Yeah, you can tell this is a mom T-shirt.
Yeah.
So good, but it's fun. It's one of those games that is way more fun with friends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I played solo last night, and I still buy into, like, I feel like the disconnect between me and Nick is, like, he sees it objectively, whereas I get into the actual, like, emergent gameplay of it, where I was like, oh, I had this great run last night. I got a gun, and I, like, lit a dude up early, and I took all his shit, and then I hid in a shed for 21 minutes until the gas almost, or the electricity almost got me, and then I ran to the safe zone and got shot. It was great. You know, like 21 minutes of that was me being in a shed, and then I'll like look to the north, and then look to the east, and then look to the south, and then look to the west, and then just repeat over and over and over and over.
Those games, like they live and breathe on their 20 seconds of excitement, whether you get shot or you kill somebody else, because most of it is running.
Well, it's
Running and hiding.
queuing, loading, getting ready.
By the way, that is gone. That's the best part about PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds right now is when you queue, you're in a
instant.
game.
Oh,
There's
okay.
like, I don't know, there's like a million concurrent players right now. No matter what mode you queue for, as soon as you click like matchmaking, you're in a game. It's crazy.
That's
That's an
Immediately,
improvement.
immediately mute everybody around you, though. Because
Yes.
once you get into that thing and there's like 100 people running around, it is just like slurs and obnoxiousness the entire time.
Well, the best game we had last night, it was me, Austin, Dan, and Mouth. And it was going great. We were like 4 of the final 30 or something like that. And then Austin was driving a dune buggy with Mouth in it. And I was driving a car with Dan in it. And I was like, we're set. And then Austin crashed into our car and flipped it over. So we had to get out and flip it. And then Dan was mad at Austin. So he shot out Austin's dune buggy tires, which caused Austin to get ejected from the vehicle right in front of the car as I was driving. So he just got run over and killed instantly. And then Mouth was like, why'd you kill Austin? And he shot me in the head. And then Dan shot Austin in the or Dan shot Mouth in the head and then shot the car until he blew up. So that's the level of our success right there.
That's impressive.
Good God.
Our best run
funny
ended
story.
with us all purposely killing each other.
Nice. The
Yeah, that's not my thing personally. I prefer the more like arena style fights where you're always playing. Like if you think about like Quake 3, it's just like you load up, you die, you immediately load again, and you're just always in the game. This is more emergent, obviously. It's just I don't think it's to my taste.
I know that they've changed a few things as far as the overall pacing goes too. Like they decrease the amount of time it takes for the boundaries to shrink, right? And
Yeah.
does that contribute to an overall faster pace of gameplay, or do you find yourself in action a lot more, or is it really making that big of a difference?
It's actually, in my opinion, slower than
Oh.
H1Z1.
Oh.
Really?
But the map changes are faster. I also feel like when you're in the shit, I don't know if you die instantly, but it's not
You
gas. Okay,
You don't
so
die.
It's
It's-
still
it's-
just damage over time.
So it's damage. It's low-ish damage over time, and then when the circle finally finishes shrinking, because it's a slow progression.
It's like an electrical
Yeah.
field now or something.
Yeah.
Once it stops shrinking, it starts chunking your life really fast and you'll die
okay.
pretty quick. So while the wall is moving, you have time, but once the wall stops, it's like murder. What happened to the culling? Because like that game was
Yeah.
fun and silly and it had a great theme, and then all of a sudden it just fell off, and people were like, "Fuck the culling."
Wasn't there an
And I was like,
update that kind of killed the
I don't
momentum
know.
for it?
Yeah,
I remember us talking
they
about
killed
that.
it. Like they kept doing it. They're really guilty, I think, of being like almost too hands-on, which is normally like what you want to be.
Yeah.
But like the combat was decent, and then they changed it to try to make it better. But in doing so, they broke that like rock paper scissors of like push beats block beats
Yeah.
attack beats push, and then it became like just shove spam. And then there were like lots of patches to try to fix it. And then maybe like 3 months ago, they did a huge patch that was like, we're going to make it like actually good now. And
Make the color great again.
what I heard from the patch was that it was really good, but it never really recovered the player base from
Yeah.
when it was at its height.
It's hard to do that. I mean, once they're gone, they're usually gone, especially with how fast-paced
The internet
things
is
are now.
fickle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so
exactly.
much, other market share to go around. There's plenty of other games now that all kind of took the same idea.
Yep.
It's a shame because I really like the culling in the sense that I think it's more accessible for someone who hasn't played many tactical shooters. Like whenever I get a sniper rifle in PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, I am actually like worse than if I just have a frying pan. Because I never know, like, do you lead targets? Is it basically like a ray trace, or is there
It's
bullet
not- it's-
drop?
There is bullet drop in Battlegrounds. There is,
Okay.
it's not hit scan or whatever. There is actual travel time for shots, and
So you're actually like leading and
Yeah.
also trying to aim over top of them.
and mind you, I
basically.
only know this because I was watching Sacriel play
Oh,
a
yeah,
bunch,
yeah.
and he was talking about the differences of the guns and why he likes one gun over the other, because his bullet's going to hit first to put the other player in panic first, because his bullets travel faster out of this gun. Like he's
Yeah.
into the shit when it comes to that
Yeah,
stuff.
no kidding.
Yeah,
Whereas
I like
in
it.
the culling, you just have like a sword and you swing it, and that makes it a lot easier.
Carve a
I
stone
think
dagger when you come out of the box.
exactly. Like in the end, It's more like, are you doing the correct input? And it kind of feels more like a very accessible fighting game, whereas I do feel like I have a built-in disadvantage if I get into a gunfight because I haven't played a bunch of Arma. But I will the gunplay.
I love Arma, but
the gunplay is so much better in this than in King of the Kill.
Oh yeah,
That's good to
absolutely.
hear too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still will stand by. I think the Division's version of their Battlegrounds is the best. Because there's a lot more going on, but it's not tactical. But out of that, I'd say this one is like close second. It just, again, Division is just barred behind a game that nobody wants to play. So, like, in order to get the good game, you have to buy the game that nobody wants to play to get it.
Hey,
No, hi, Nick.
I didn't think it was that bad.
I don't think it's that bad. It's just mediocre. That's
It's
the
just
problem.
bland city-based Borderlands.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's exactly what it is.
It's all right.
Cool. PlayerUnknown'S Battlegrounds, currently in early access, is available for $30. And I don't know what their early access model is.
So that's one of the things that people are actually most excited about is that they're really aggressive with their roadmap. And they're like, we're gonna not make the mistake of always being in early access. But of course it is an ambitious game, so who knows what's gonna happen. But they want it to be out in like version 1.0 within 6 months. So basically by sometime this fall, they want it to be done. Which if it works is awesome.
Right. In theory, I love that, but
Yes.
I'm gonna withhold excitement.
If Project Zomboid taught me anything, don't expect the game to ever come out.
We'll check in 2 years, see if it's out
There
yet.
we go. All right.
One day that's going to be a topic on this podcast. Zomboid finally released.
That'll be the whole show.
Finally talk about it.
Cool. Hey guys.
Oh, hi, Bear.
This little
Rocket
game
League.
came out a
Yeah,
couple years
they-
ago.
Oh, I
don't know
thought
if
we were
you're-
doing a Madrinas commercial.
I don't know if you're aware.
Oh,
but-
all right. I wasn't aware.
Oh, I'd tell you about that ahead of time. This is a new game type for Rocket League, and I know how hard of a sell that is for folks who may not be wanting to boot it back up. But I gotta tell you, man, like we had the basketball mode, right? We had the hockey mode. That was fun. Those were they're kind of like just gimmicky, fun little goofy things that you can do with Rocket League, right? There's not much more than that. I really like Dropshot, and I think it's almost like a whole new version of Rocket League. Beyond just being, now you're shooting it into the basketball hoop instead of shooting it into the soccer net. Like there's different strategy now involved too. It's really cool. So I'm going to play the little trailer bit for y'all watching the podcast while I talk about it. I gave you guys the elevator pitch, but I'll do it again. It's basically, it's a hexagonal map that's cut in half. And you're guarding your side of the map, your floor of the map. Your floor is now your goal, and you're trying to protect your floor panels from being damaged. So the ball is flying around, you're trying to keep it off your side and hit it onto your opponent's side. And as you deal damage, parts of the floor will fall out, and that becomes the new goal. And it adds a lot more excitement to every single game, because now it's not just the big thrilling moments where the goal is scored. Like that usually is the most exciting and generally the only big exciting things that happen in Rocket League games besides some saves, right? But now you've got like entire games where you can go scoreless for 3 or 4 minutes, but the excitement is still there because every big bit of damage, every panel of your enemy's floor that you hit adds to the tension, you know? Like that adds to your goal size, obviously, and makes it more exciting. It's so fun. I've had so much fun playing Dropshot for just the last few days. Like it's reinvigorated Rocket League loving in me, which is not hard, I'll admit.
Because it happens about
It
every
has
6
said it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I know. Like it's obviously my game. I know that much now, but it's really good, and I've heard like kind of similar sentiments from people about this as well. Like it's really impressive for a free new game mode. That's mostly what I want to say about it. Like I love that they're still doing stuff like this. It's really cool.
Can you mix mutators into it?
Oh, I wonder if you can. I
Like
hadn't
if
thought
you
about
had
that.
giant ball and like beach ball mode in Dropshot.
Yeah.
Kind of fun.
I hadn't actually experimented with that, but it might be a possibility. But
Or a hockey puck and it just leaves a line like missing behind wherever the ball goes.
yeah, that's the there's me just basically trying to tell you guys, please at least try it. Yes, I really like it a lot.
In customs, apparently, you can use modifiers, so that's nice.
Nice, there you go. Yeah, and you can do obviously drop shot in the custom lobbies as well now. They've
Can you
also
make
added-
it so the floor doesn't have collision, so you can just drive into the pit and then die?
Probably not.
That would be a whole different mode, I guess. But like, you're
Yeah.
just trying to make it harder to drive around for your opponent as well.
Also, yeah, for those who are still struggling with aerials, I apologize. This mode may not be for you, but for the 600-hour players out there like me, a little bit more exciting.
600 hours.
649. 649.
How many?
649.
That's actually a lot less than I expected.
Yeah. What'd you pin it at?
I don't know, like 1,200.
Yeah.
I have like 230, so 224. So I figured you'd play it at least like 5 times more Rocket League than I have.
I'm actually comparing it to like the other games that I've got the most hours in. Like I've got 484 in Spelunky. I've got 349 in Darkest Dungeon. So
I got 18 hours in Rocket League.
damn.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
All right, but yeah, I'm having a blast with it. I'm really happy they keep adding new, fresh stuff like this for a game that has a consistent player base of about 200,000 people. Not surprising that they're still doing stuff like this, but I'm glad they are anyway. All right, off we go then. Let's talk about We Need to Go Deeper. That's a game that y'all played on the NLSS, yeah?
Yeah.
We did that.
Feel free. Either
So
one.
it's like a
go ahead. Yeah.
submarine game where you have assigned roles and have to operate different mechanisms inside of it while steering and understanding where you're going. And I don't really know what the end goal is other than just going as deep as possible. Like, I don't know if you can win the game or not, but you're navigating like this underwater, like endless labyrinth that just keeps going deeper and deeper. And there's more and more nasty fish that come and attack you, like a whole bunch of different specialized fish that'll rip parts of your ship away, and then you got to repair them while you're still trying to steer and still trying to reload the ammo. And then the water will start to fill up, and sometimes you got to get out of your ship and go explore a cave. It's a fun little task for a group of people to try and do a little bit of team building together. As long as you don't play as the reloading ammo guy, 'cause that's very
I actually think that we have that backwards. Like, I think that the way that it works is it's very much like FTL, but everybody controls one squad member. So somebody drives the submarine and they have a view of like where they're going, and somebody else mans the torpedo and they get to aim the torpedo. Somebody else has like a little power management module. So the captain will be like, hey, we should go faster right now. So they like pull power from lights and put it in the like thrust or something. And then the other person, I think, is supposed to just sort of load torpedoes, but also like hang out. Like, I think they're supposed to be like, hey, there's a little tentacle that poked its way through the ship right now. Instead, we made it so one person just grabs a torpedo, puts it in the torpedo bay, and goes back and forth. And
I eventually started floating as well, but it took me a while to realize, because at the beginning, like the first 20 minutes, nothing requires additional help.
Yeah, no, absolutely true. Like, I didn't really know what to do. Like, as we were driving, and then like a squid attaches itself to the submarine, chat is like, stop driving and kill the squid. And I'm like, what do you mean stop driving? But yeah, it's cool in that it's asymmetrical and like everybody has their own role that changes dynamically the more you play. Like, when things are going well, you're like, we're a well-oiled machine, but eventually like something breaches the hull and it starts like everything gets thrown into disarray as you're like, oh, we got like fish on the ship that we have to kill. And there's also like, you can find these caves and the caves have loot in them, and you get into like these like 2D side-scrolling action segments that are really not great right now.
Yeah.
Like Terraria version 0.01 style combat, like just smacking things over and over. It's pretty bad there, but the actual design of the game and the central premise, I think, is cool. And I'm amazed that there's not more games that are doing that. I guess it's because it makes them unplayable from a single-player perspective, which limits your audience. But the multiplayer aspect of it is really, really fun. And I'm surprised that so many of them, or so many multiplayer games, are like you're all the same person doing the same thing instead of having roles. But
We had Space Food Truck.
That is true.
Have you guys played any of Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time?
I have not,
So-
because I am alone right now.
It's a bit similar mechanically, yeah? There's a little...
It is, yeah. It's Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time, but for 4 people.
Yeah.
And it's a worse game, but that doesn't necessarily make it bad. Like, Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time is extremely well-designed, and this is just sort of... It works. The combat in particular is really not great, but the rest of it is fun.
It is in early access as well.
And it's strong because of its novelty, to be honest. That's like the biggest thing about the game is that it's a neat new mechanic as opposed to simply being it's a competent battle royale style shooter, for example.
How do you guys feel about the art? It's very unique. Yeah.
It's got like this kind of quirky, like Life Aquatic kind of presentation.
Yeah.
I don't really know where to classify it in terms of its art style. I guess it reminds me a little bit of Don't Starve.
I get like a Monty
But, like-
Python sketch vibe.
Yeah,
from it
probably
when
more that.
when I look at it, like the little cutout characters moving around. It's awfully cartoony, but it sort of seems like there's a lot of tension, and maybe that doesn't contribute very well to that. Like it
It
seems.
needs more frames of animation like everywhere. But maybe that's their style, is that it doesn't have them. I don't know. It didn't quite sit right with me.
Interesting. I do really like the like you said, Rand. Like I wish there were more games like this where it really does assign you roles. And while there is like obviously a lot of added inherent difficulty in selling a game like that, where it's multiplayer exclusive basically, or in most cases it would be, and you have to figure out ways to make each role at least fairly interesting. Like that was one of the big issues you guys had, was sometimes people would just be fulfilling the same basic loop over and over and over again, right? Without really much variation to it.
I
Yeah.
tried. No, I was gonna say I tried to get you guys to play a game similar. It's called Pulsar: The Lost Colony.
Yeah.
It's 4 people man a spaceship. One's
Did
a
you
pi-
try to get us to play that?
I don't
Yeah.
remember that, but someone told me about it on Reddit.
Long time ago. I tried. It's a little ugly, but it's really fun. And you go exploring space and landing on planets and dealing with hull
Oh!
breaches. Yeah.
Yeah, dog!
Yeah, dog.
Yeah, man. It's that kind of game though. And I love those styles of games because they don't come around too often.
That was a little while
But
back.
Pulsar is ugly as hell. But
It is more than a little ugly, yeah.
No, it's
now
ugly
that-
as hell. It's ugly as hell, but it's really fun. So if you like Star Trek E type, everybody has a role. It's a lot of fun.
That looks very interesting.
It's
I
ugly.
feel like this is one of those it's one of those games where we're waiting for like 2K or Ubisoft to do it, and they never will because
But we have the VR version of it coming out now.
Oh, the Star
Star
Trek,
Trek,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That actually would get me to plug in my Vive. I think when
me
that comes
too.
out.
I think
I'm
that's going to be
excited
pretty
for it.
good. Mm-hmm.
Let's do like one video of it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down.
We should try that out.
I would absolutely do that. That'd be super fun.
Mm-hmm.
People are talking about Artemis, but the problem, at least from our perspective, the problem with Artemis is that it's played on the cell phone, right? It's mobile only.
No, Artemis is
What's the one that's on
From
the
the
Space Team?
Space
Start
Team,
of
yeah.
this,
I was just going
running
to
the
say,
game.
Space Team is like the quintessential example of making the roles extremely exciting for everybody.
West.
Artemis is the spaceship bridge simulator. It is fucking complicated as hell, and it's also even uglier than Pulsar.
How?
Why
it's
are
like-
these games so bad looking?
Because this is like a fan thing.
Oh,
Is it? Is it as multiplayer and co-op, which on Steam usually means that's online and co-op.
Just Google Artemis game or YouTube it. Boners in Space is the first video that comes up.
Right on,
That's
yeah.
fine.
Good stuff.
But yeah, you can like look at it. Yeah, it's hideous.
How many things
It
can
looks
you
like
fuck in
a-
Artemis?
It looks like an old, like a Star Trek game from 2001 or something.
Yeah,
like
like
that.
the 1990 late 90s bridge RPG.
Yeah, that's it.
Dude, that is dated.
But it's like it's super like everybody gets a role, everybody has to manage certain things. Like that's cool, but yeah,
Yeah.
they're all ugly.
Cool. All right. Well, this is We Need to Go Deeper. Currently in early access on Steam, available for $9.99. Got very positive reviews. People are enjoying it. Let's go to Oh, I think this is just a Mathis one, yeah? Battle Brothers?
Am I the only one that played
I
it?
think so.
PlayerUnknown's Battle Brothers.
Yeah, I don't even know what this is.
Yeah,
So Battle Brothers actually released officially today out of early access.
Nice. You got it. I want to hear you sell this again because you were pretty adamant about this.
I
first time.
really, really like it. It's it
But
reminds
it's
me.
ugly as sin.
It's actually not that ugly. I think the art's great. It is Mountain Blade meets XCOM. You are playing a band of mercenaries in this randomly generated world every time you play. Going around recruiting people from towns, taking up odd jobs and contracts, and trying to make a name for yourself in this world. All combat is turn-based tactical, very similar to XCOM, and it is brutal as fucking hell. You will lose people. That is just part of it. You have to manage food day to day. You need to manage medicine, pay. You need to make sure you're taking in contracts because every one of your mercenaries demands daily pay. Each mercenary can level up. There's like a perks tree that you'll go down. I think they max out at 10. And you kind of have influence over the world in that like towns will go to, or like kingdoms will go to war with one another. And you can kind of do contracts for one kingdom to help them. And it'll influence the world and like towns being destroyed. And then later on in the game, one of 3 world-ending quote-unquote events will happen that you have to get through. Whether it be noble houses all just declare war on one another, orcs show up and like start destroying humanity in general, or an undead plague shows up and starts wrecking shit. It's really good, but it's incredibly hard. Like it has XCOM bullshit out the ass. Like so there's like a morale system, and when you're in combat, like as people get beaten down, morale breaks down, and eventually they'll panic and not listen to you, very XCOM-like. But it also works for the enemy as well. So you surround one guy, and when you start surrounding him with your guys, like his morale will drop because he's being surrounded. It's one of the things. And then you hit him, and now his morale's even lower, and his chance to hit you goes down with each subsequent morale drop. Okay. So he should have like a 10% chance to hit you. But because it's fucking bullshit in XCOM game like that, he's going to take that shot. He should miss, but for some reason he fucking beheads your guy, and all of a sudden he's feeling confident again, and he starts beating your ass. I hate that crap, but it swings both ways, but you always feel like you're missing like your 60% shots, and he's hitting his 10% chances to hit. But it's good. It's really, really good. It's hard. So if you're into that style of game, I suggest checking out. The first hour is going to be brutal of just like it's a little slow. You need to kind of understand how the rules work. There's not really a tutorial system. There's scenarios that you can play through, which kind of teach you the game's mechanics, but even then they're not that great. I remember the second tutorial, the second scenario just has you fighting wolves, and it's considered easy, and I lost every single time. It just destroyed me. But it's good. It's really good. There's a little RNG involved. There's loot involved. Being able to influence the world just being through like a merry band of mercenaries is really cool. You get attached to your mercenaries. They'll like have random conversations with you as you're walking through the world. That'll present you with choices which will affect their morale or how much you pay them or their friendship with you. There's just a lot going on in the game. And if you like that style of game, I would highly suggest you check it out.
So what's your like... You've got combat, obviously, and you said it's all turn-based, all XCOM style stuff. But what's like your in between your day-to-day? Like, what are you actually doing?
So you're taking, like I said, you're taking contracts from towns. You're going from town to town, taking contracts. You can just wander the world and look for brigands to murder or raider outposts to just like raid and take out. You can be a good guy or a bad guy. You can like you'll have opportunities when you're walking the roads where like a merchant, like an event pops up, like a merchant is down the road. You can do one of 4 things with him. You can talk to him. You can try and rob him. You can just pay him, but try and intimidate him to lower prices, like that kind of stuff. So it's very sandbox style because it's not linear at all. So you kind of can do whatever you want as long as you have the money to pay the mercenaries in your band.
Got it.
They demand money.
Right. Cool.
It's good.
Yeah. I'd be checking this one out.
I am not going to check it out.
Which you want to extrapolate upon that?
I'm looking at it and I'm like, I love XCOM. I do. But this feels like Mountain Blade, at least, and also like to some extent Heroes of Might and Magic, gets too much into the minutia for me. Mm-hmm. And what you're talking about sounds interesting if you're the kind of person who likes it. But when I play Mount and Blade, I'm like, I don't want to deal with half this shit. I want to like swing my sword.
Clarify, when I say XCOM, I mean old school XCOM.
Okay.
Because you're dealing with action units or time units. So each move takes a bit out of your pool of time units, and it adds to your fatigue bar. And if you like have too much fatigue, they can't do too many actions in the combat. So you have to manage both your movement units and your fatigue bar and the morale. There's like 6 bars you're managing for each unit in combat. So if you're into that heavy strategic style of gameplay of the old school XCOM games, then that's what you're getting into with this. You're not getting the more accessible, newer XCOM style of
This
stuff.
is like the micromanagement balancing of the bars sort of deal.
Yes, very, very much so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a reward there if you're willing to invest the time to learn it, but it's also can be frustrating when you're in combat and you're like, I just want to attack this guy. Why can't I? Oh, my fatigue bar is so low and I only have 2 movement points left, but he's in a position that's so vulnerable. There's a lot to manage.
Yeah.
It's like I saw Mount and Blade 2 at E3 last year, and the elevator pitch is great. You know, they're like, you can siege these castles and you can wait for like the perfect weather conditions to siege the castle, and you have the choice to like kill the leader or like bring them over to your side if your stats are high enough. But then like actually doing that is annoying for me. For a lot of people, they want that level of being able to tweak the low level stuff. But for me, I'm like, that you're giving me the story, but I don't like the writing of the story. Like, it's like the difference between like maybe Nick's opinion of like Crusader Kings, where the story you write in Crusader Kings via the emerging gameplay is fun, but if you don't enjoy the concept of marrying off your kin to like the person with the perfect stats and then going back and doing all of that stuff, then it's not really as worth it as it seems. You have
to be invested in like the quote unquote light RPG heavy management aspects. Mount and Blade 1 I loved. I played like lots of that game. But yeah, there's moments where you're just dealing with the socio-political landscape of the world and not really worrying about the action, and you have to worry about your relationship with the Kingdom of the North and your warring faction to the Kingdom of the South, and maybe I can marry to the daughter, and like all that stuff is very present in these types of games, and if you hate it, you're never gonna like them. But that aspect isn't really present in Battle Brothers, but you're dealing with more numbers and number crunching in Battle Brothers than you are in other games like it.
You said that you're going to lose people. How significant does that end up becoming? I was wondering really like how attached you can become to characters in something like this.
It depends. Like for me right now where I'm in, I have my core like 3 guys that I've had since the beginning, and they're pretty powerful and they're pretty well equipped.
Yeah.
But I keep losing 1 or 2 every like 3 or 4 combats. So I'm always going to like these peasant towns and being like, which farmer needs a better life? And they're like, oh, I'll do it for like 80 gold. And I'm like, that's cheap as hell. Come along. And they're like my fodder guys. But if they survive and they level up, that's when you start getting attached. So you always have your fodder and you don't mind losing them. But once they hit like level 3 or 4 and they start becoming significant, that's when you're like, I don't want to lose you.
That's the Darkest Dungeon treatment, man, where you're
like,
okay,
exactly.
These people are now valuable, and God help me if they end up dying.
Yeah. And it's scary when they get like the enemy gets their 20% shot and they just like all of a sudden you see your friend's head come off and you're like, fuck.
So how long is like a campaign of this?
That's a good question. I haven't finished yet. I don't know. I know the end game events come around day 80-ish in game, and each episode, every 20 minutes or so that I'm doing is about 2 or 3 days if I push it.
I'm just thinking like if 1 or 2 of your guys are linchpins to your whole, idea of success, and then RNG kills one of them, like that's a lot of time to put in.
Yeah, and that's
very frustrated
That's just the downfall of these style of games.
Yeah.
RNG can completely fucking kick you in the balls.
Yeah.
That's why you reload.
Oh, okay, so you can at least save abuse then.
Yeah, you can save abuse, or you can choose Iron Man. Don't choose Iron Man if it's your first time.
Cool. All right. That is Battle Brothers. It's $30. And on Steam just came out today. So there you go. Let's go to Ryan. Can you tell me about Streets of Rogue?
Streets of Rogue is a beat 'em up / action / RPG / brawler.
This is Tiny Build, right?
It is Tiny Build.
Okay,
yeah. So basically, you play top down, and it's a procedurally generated map similar to a roguelite, but it's a city. So there's buildings and you get objectives. And the objectives are like, hey, assassinate this person or steal this or press all these buttons inside of this building. And you have RPG elements and a class-based system where you could be a hacker, for example. And a hacker has the ability to hack remotely into like the electronic systems so they can accomplish an objective. Like, for example, let's say you have to steal something from a safe. If you're a hacker, you might walk up to the edge of the wall, hack the safe through the wall, unlock it, and then just like use stealth to get around the guards and then steal it. If you're a brawler, you might have to go in there and punch everybody to death, find the person with the key, punch them to death, take the key, unlock it, and then you see the general idea.
Yeah.
And then the more you, once you complete all those objectives, your goal is to get to the end of the level, and then it kind of goes Isaac style. You get harder objectives on larger and larger levels with more hazards and stuff like that until eventually you reach the end of the game. And it has online multiplayer.
All right. There's a lot of game types that they listed off in the trailer here. Really varied.
It's a difficult one to describe in short amounts of time because it is very versatile. It's got a little bit of that Deus Ex flavor to it where you can take your own approach. And I think there's something like 20 different classes you can play as. Ooh. And each of them are roughly pretty different, especially the gorilla, which was my favorite until I found out it sucks online. I had only played solo, and Ryan had only played online, I think, or something like that. And then we tried it on the NLSS, and it was just like, maybe this was not so well-suited. But the gorillas thing is he goes and recruits other gorillas from science labs until you have a roving gang of angry gorillas. And they can't speak English is their other thing, so you can't use their charm. Like the bartender class can to try and get through situations.
But I was playing for my Let's Look At, and I got a random item for doing a quest, and it was a gorilla translator. Oh. And then I was like, maybe if we were playing online and I gave you the gorilla translator, then you could all of a sudden start talking to people and do things that way.
I would just punch them.
Well, that's the thing. It also, as different as the games are, the gameplay loop reminds me a lot of Broforce, as strange as that might sound, in the sense that you can go into an objective, and it's really about your own style of play and, to some extent, like self-discipline. Like, if you want, you could be like, okay, guys, you're gonna be the hacker, and then I'll go tap on the window, and you go walk around when the dude's distracted, and use stealth to get to the objective. Or you can just have somebody that's like, Leroy Jenkins, walk in, shoot them in the head, and then everybody aggroes you, and you've just got to fight them off as if it's Contra or something like that. Contra 3, the top-down levels is what I'm trying to get at here. Recognize Contra as a side-scroller.
Make goddamn sure you reference the right
I just want to make sure my nerd cred doesn't... Look, I've beaten Super C and Contra 3 The Alien Wars many times, okay?
Very good.
That's a good sentence.
All I'm saying, it implies I haven't beaten the original Contra, which is very true. However, it's cool. Where it suffers is... and I think that it's a really, really fun game. In the online, the best thing I can say about it is that it seemed to work. So... We had a relatively seamless experience with it. However, I did find that I played as the hacker a lot, and especially when I was playing solo, every objective, I was like, I'm just going to hack this thing, and then I got it, and then I walk over to something else and I hack it, and I guess to some extent, it's your responsibility to liven things up, but I was sort of like, why would I?
Sounds like a balancing issue they need to work on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing great right now. Also, like, the objectives are basically, there's 3 objectives, or 4 objectives. There's kill this person, retrieve this object, press all 3 of the buttons in, like, this one specific place, and escort somebody to the level entrance.
But there's also special stages, too, which augment them a bit, like the deactivate bombs in X amount of time, or
that's true.
Poisoning.
Yeah, there's levels that are almost like... when the ghost shows up in Spelunky, or like, I smell wet fur and stuff like that. There's levels that have environmental hazards.
That's cool.
That force you, like, the radiation one is every 20 seconds you have to be inside, or you lose like 20% of your HP due to radiation poisoning. And then we had one that was like bombs are falling from the ceiling, so you always have to run away because you barely get a chance to see where they are. And the other thing that's neat about it is that there's like a dynamic... I don't want to say like morality system, but the police have rules that they go by in the game. So there are police. If they see you commit a crime, they will aggro to you and they'll attack you. However, you can actually just ignore them as long as you're stealthy enough when you accomplish your objective. So there's almost like a reputation system in the
There's
game.
different factions. There's there's the thugs. There's the cultists. There's scientists. I want to say there's even one other one, but they all have their own thing about them. And I guess your standing kind of depends on what class you are and how you affect the level. So it seems like a simple game at face value because you can just go bust everything up.
Yeah.
But if you look at it in a slightly different way, it's got some depth to it to be mined out.
Yeah, I certainly wasn't expecting there to be a faction system in something like this. But for as many game genres as they list this under, I suppose that makes sense. Like they're really shooting for the stars with this mega collaboration of ideas here.
It's an extremely ambitious design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't look that impressive visually because it looks like a Super Nintendo game or it looks like a kind of mediocre pixel art 2015 style game.
Really quick tangentially, like this is kind of just Tiny Build's thing now, isn't it? Like this is they're sort of gravitating toward a lot of games that look like this.
Like what?
Like this pixel art sort of style. Like this thing, Tiny Build or not Tiny Build, Party Hard, and then fucking Punch Club. Like they're all sort of starting to look similar, and I'm wondering if that's intentional from Tiny Build's side. But
I don't know if they made it though. I thought they just published it.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm saying like I'm wondering if Tiny Build is on the lookout for that style of game. Interestingly enough, like I wonder if that is a strategy they're employing. But I don't know. It might just be coincidental too.
You know what? Chad is right. It looks a lot like the Escapists. But like a zoomed out Escapist.
It's by Matt Dabrowski.
Yeah.
Oh, Escapists.
So you cut me off right at the most negative part where I was gonna bring it back up and be like, hey, it looks like shit.
Sorry.
But once you actually play it, you are like, this is an incredibly ambitious promise that you've given, and for the most, I'd say it delivers like 80% right now.
Yeah.
It definitely. The thing is, when you play Deus Ex and you play it through as like, I'm going to be a gun shooty man. When you finish it, you wonder, I wonder what it would be like if I was like Mr. Hacker Man.
Yeah.
I haven't really felt that in Streets of Rogue because you sort of have to be a jack of all trades. Like even as a hacker, you're probably going to get, like if you hack something and somebody sees you hack it, they're going to come over and punch you, and then you take out like a baseball bat and beat the shit out of them. And it makes it more arcadey, but it's a little less like delineated between the classes, I guess, as to what their strengths and weaknesses are. But I think it's pretty cool, despite being still relatively early as far as a finished product goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was also sort of similar in that camp that I was a bit apprehensive about it at first, and I did a stream of it like a couple months ago. I was like, wow, there's actually some decently deep mechanics going on. And I played it, and Lynn and I were just chatting as I was just messing around. And we had like a really fun time just telling little stories through what happened in each thing. I didn't always mean to cause this chain of events to happen, but like I'd break into somebody's house and steal a hamburger out of their house, and they'd wake up and get pissed off at me, like knock me through a wall. It's like all this silly stuff would happen, and it's just like a little bite-sized chunk of a story in a bunch of different ways. And it turned out to be fun. So I'm in. I like it.
Cool. Right on. The other point there too, like I do think it's interesting in games like this where you kind of have to make your own fun of it. Like you said, like there's not a lot of reason that the game gives you to switch up your approach because there's not a lot of impedance there. It is kind of on the game though to really make it worth your while to want to switch it up. Like it's kind of the onus is on them to make the other characters interesting enough to want to play, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel the focus maybe right now is that there are like a set of rules that govern the world, and they've really widened it. Like the game is not necessarily maybe I mean it the opposite. Maybe it's deep and not wide. It's got a lot in one axis and not a whole lot in the other, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
I feel like the world right now is coherent and logical, and that's impressive in and of itself. But you're right that there isn't yet a character that I've found, at least, that is like this person, they're like a shapeshifter or something like that. Or I almost feel like what I'm trying to say is in less uncertain terms, is more of a sandbox. It's much less of a curated experience where the developer is saying, here's a lot of interesting things for you to do. And instead the developer is saying, I made this world. These are the rules that govern this world. Go have a good time.
Okay.
Would you rather it was just one giant level instead of a series of floors like Isaac?
Potentially, depending, because the way that works right now is that aggro resets level to level, which I think is important. You could maybe, in one living, breathing city, you could possibly make it so you just ruin things, maybe, but
that might be part of the storytelling as well.
True, yeah. I don't know, actually. I think that could work. Because the other thing is that despite it being a city, it's very, it's small.
Yeah, it is.
There's like 2 cops per level or, something like that. And there might be like 30 NPCs per level, but most of them are just kind of cannon fodder.
Yeah. And you're right saying it's depth and not width, because it's just there's too few events to take place really yet. And we even beat it. It's not done yet, but we beat what was there totality.
Yeah.
In, I think that was like a 20-minute run or so.
I think there was 8 floors or 6, something like that, yeah.
It wasn't particularly long, and in those were the same bunch of objectives with a few mixed up ones in there too. So it's not that it doesn't have the potential to grow further, it's just for balancing reasons. With so many classes, I wonder how do you add more meaningful objectives that affect everyone in a good way. I don't know. It's a difficult task.
Yeah, definitely.
Sounds cool.
Yeah. Certainly an interesting concept to be able to mash all that together.
It's a very daunting game to think about developing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is.
Like even a game like Hollow Knight, it's amazing and there's a ton of content and it's well polished, but there's like a to-do list that you could sort of, once I'm done with the to-do list, the game is done. Whereas with this, the to-do list is long, and then once it's done, I sort of feel like the developer has to be like, okay, now how do I make it fun?
Yeah.
Because I've made the world, but there's some problems about it being replayable right now. But it's impressive in its current state.
And this this is another one-man team, just Matt Dabrowski, huh? That's crazy.
At least as far as like the bulk of the work, yeah.
Damn.
Cool.
Which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is really that's some Stardew Valley level stuff. That's awesome. Cool. Streets of Rogue currently in early access, $15 on Steam. Hey, Mathis. Want to tell me about All Walls Must Fall real quick?
Oh, yeah. All Walls Must Fall is if you've ever played the old PC game Syndicate, kind of turn-based strategy game that they personally describe as XCOM meets Braid, because there is this time mechanic of constantly rewinding your actions or going forward with them. It takes place in a world where the Cold War never ended, and this world disaster ends up taking place and destroying a ton of people, and you're acting as like a time agent that is going into the world to break this continuum and save the world from whatever the hell disaster is going on. It is currently in pre-alpha. You cannot get it unless they send you a code to play it, and it is currently on Kickstarter. I think it launched today or yesterday.
Yeah.
And they're already 60% of the way funded, which is nice. And I didn't expect much because Kickstarter pre-alphas are a dime a dozen. But I saw a little bit of kick up on Twitter about the game, so I was like, oh, this looks interesting. So I checked it out, and I walked away really impressed with the pre-alpha. Specifically the combat, because the objectives and stuff were relatively vanilla. Go in, hack a computer, go in, kill a guy, leave. But the combat itself was impressive, and the world that they have there is really cool. And some of the dialogue options, the way they're kind of doing dialogue is awesome. So a lot of the levels can be approached in many different ways, which I appreciate in this game. What's interesting about the way the game plays and what took me a little bit to adapt to is that instead of it being like you choose where you move, your turn's over, there's always a timer going down, and you have to move,
right,
or the timer's going to continue ticking down anyway. And if you don't move within a timer, a big chunk of your time units, I guess, go away. Every action you do costs those time units, but it's not as deep or as complicated as like Battle Brothers or old school XCOM. It's kind of this universal resource that you're managing as opposed to dealing with all this other stuff.
We're learning today that Mathis is a really big fan of consumable action points.
Yeah,
you're
that is
only
exactly.
allowed to
I
do
knew
a
that about him
finite amount
already.
of things.
Ryan, you're muted. Okay, I thought you say something. So, but it's good.
I
It's really,
was
really
just
good.
being racist over here.
No,
That's why I
that's
have the
fine.
mute button on.
All right.
No, understandable. But what I like about it is after you go through this combat scenario and you kill everything, the game will rewind and then it'll play out the combat that you just did all at once to show you how kind of badass it can look.
Yeah.
You get currency that you buy, extra weapons and extra time powers, and I mean, it's just cool. I think it's really early in pre-alpha, but what's there is very promising. The art style is beautiful. And I'm excited. My biggest complaint that I walked away from so far is that the conversation system is really vague and I don't understand it. So you'll talk to somebody and a little menu will pop up and it'll show like, says like flirty or aggressive and respect, and everything you answer affects one or the other. And if you get one to go up to 100%, they'll let you pass without fighting them. If it goes down 100% in the red, you'll fight them. But there's no way to know what response you're going to say affects the bars, and it doesn't feel
They're so
cohesive.
obtuse as well. It's just like the things you say. You'll go up to a bartender and he'll be like, "I don't want to talk to you," and you'll be like, "I bet your mom has an entire sector of Russia within her," and you're like, "What? What does that even mean?"
Yeah, like, but it's like, and then it affects them in a positive way, and there's no fucking way to know which one's gonna do which. And I guess it makes sense because you can hit A, spend some of your time units and rewind time.
Yeah.
For like your last action and just experiment, but it costs the time units. There's potential there. I just don't understand the dialogue system at all.
Yeah.
But the combat is really good.
It's very confusing in its current state, but I like what I conceive to be the idea of it, which is, a balanced out. Well, I mean, it's sort of just, a basic dialogue system, but we're actually seeing like the breakdown of what we're doing as we're doing it.
Yeah.
And that is really interesting, like just to see like the feelings and the responses that are being generated based on what you say. Although, again, I'd like for them to be a little more clear at least. Like maybe we don't want to know exactly what's going to happen when we say something. Like Rain style, I guess would be another good way of comparing it, where like you see these things that would show up in Rains and you would look at it and be like, I don't know how I feel about what you're saying, but it sounds maybe like we should go that route. And that's kind of the vibe I got from a lot of these dialogue options.
Yeah, it's very similar. I agree. The other thing that's important to note is that I do say XCOM, but you're only controlling one guy.
Yeah.
It's your one and only dude. You're not controlling a team of guys or anything. It's just one dude who is trying to break this continuum of the world being destroyed over and over again and just trying to break the time loop.
Yeah.
It's just neat. If you like that techno sci-fi noir-esque theme, I think you're really going to enjoy it.
And I agree with you. I think the combat is going to be one of its strong points. Like having just seen a little snippet of it from what I played, but it has a lot of potential already. Like I really like the idea of kind of having to do a combination of real-time and turn-based strategic approaches where you have to keep going because, as you mentioned, time is a continuous thing, and if you don't act, the game will without you doing anything. So you've got to be going, but you also need to think like, oh shit, okay, so there's bullets coming through here. If I move into this space, will I be safe? Sometimes you'll commit to an action and it'll be like, well, the results of this are unclear. Are you sure you want to commit? And you just kind of have to roll the dice on stuff. But there's a lot of potential there that I'm really excited for because I think you can do a lot of interesting things with that mechanic.
And honestly, like I said earlier, it's one of its simplest additions, the ability to, when it plays out the combats after you've done it.
Yeah.
Just, it really does make you feel like a badass spy, because when you're fighting, you're like, all right, I'm going to shoot this guy, and then the action takes place, and now you plan, and now you're going to move.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now these guys are going to come through the door. All right, the turn's over. Now I'm going to take out my shotgun and shoot them. All right, now I'm going to move. And it's very stilted, but once it rewinds and it plays it all back, you're like, oh, that was
I feel like fucking
awesome.
Max Payne, dude.
Yeah, exactly. You're just like, oh, I just took a pistol out and shot that guy in the leg, and I stepped back and I took my shotgun out and I killed two guys all in one go.
It's great.
I like it. Yeah.
I prefer my turn-based, real-time, turn-based shooter in real time, like in Super Hot.
Oh, I see. Yeah. How do you define that genre, dude? Shit.
It reminds me a
me of
little
Super
bit of the new game from the FTL guys, which is called...
Oh, fuck.
I didn't know they were doing a new game.
Yeah, what is it?
Is it out already?
No, it's something about
Into the
kaiju. Into the Breach, that's it. I knew I had
Into
one of
the
those
Breach.
Pacific Rim words
Shit.
in the title. But it's, I believe, a turn-based game where you can see the results of the actions before they happen, and you can also see what the enemy is going to do on their turn before they do it. And the uniqueness of it is not just like, well, you're thinking like, obviously, if I know what they're going to do, I can counter it. But there's like environmental impacts. Like if you hit this guy with this special attack, you can see that it's going to knock him into the city and destroy like a certain amount of buildings and stuff like that and cause property damage and loss of life. So you try to minimize collateral damage and stuff like that as well. Just like basically they both have sort of that causality loop in them, and they play with time in a way that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh my God, just even in just the first mission, breaking down the door and then, you know, systematically taking out a couple of bodyguards and nailing the target, but playing that back afterwards, it's 4 or 5 seconds of barge through, dodge out of bullets, you're running down a hallway and you just pop a couple guys.
Yep.
It's so cool.
And it's the fact that there's like very little animation with the main character still, like it still feels really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm excited to see what they do when the character actually has like proper animations with all of his gunshots and stuff. It's definitely something to keep an eye on if you're into that style of game. I agree.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. Yeah, that's as Mathis mentioned, it's currently in pre-alpha. They are planning a closed alpha in May 2017, and that's going to be on all Windows, Mac, and Linux is their current projection for that. Cool. As all walls must fall. And hey, Nick, can you tell me about everything? You tell me about literally everything,
You're
please.
going to have to help me at some point, but I'll give it a shot. So, Everything is a game that just very recently came out on PlayStation 4, and in about a month is going to be out on Steam as well. The basic premise of it is that it aims to put you in a different headspace by allowing you to play as everything in the universe in its own way. And when I mean play as, I say that to somewhat of a limited degree. You don't really do a whole lot, but you do get to experience a ton of things. So there's every possible slice of scope and scale, sort of like a Katamari Damacy, but even larger and smaller, where you can go from a cellular level up to the size of a universe and then even to like quantum levels beyond that and simulate like I am geometry now and I am a point. I am a 2D line.
Yeah. And
now I'm a cigarette butt. Now I'm a giraffe. Now I'm a mountain. Now I'm a cloud. Now I'm a planet. Now I'm a universe.
This is exactly right. Yeah.
And you sort of unlock the ability to transpose yourself across these different strata over a short amount of time. It's about like maybe half an hour's worth of tutorial at the beginning. So the other thing is it's also narrated by a philosopher named Alan Watts. And that is an important thing because it's a large amount of where the game gets its flavor. The game by itself is actually audiovisually quite nice, although very quirky. It's not like it's a beautiful art style, but it's nice. It's got its own flavor to it.
Yeah.
But what gives it some depth, some meat to chew on, is this narration, because it's going to make you actually think about what it is you're really doing. Because intrinsically, you're just mostly swapping 3D models and wandering around with them for a bit. But once you start hearing this in the context of the philosophy that's going on next to you, you're going to start thinking about stuff that maybe is a little difficult to say out loud in front of 5,000 people sometimes. I guess I'll say that. It puts you in a weird headspace that might make your next NLSS a little awkward. Why don't you take a stab at it, Bear?
Absolutely, man. It is, oh my God. This game is, I think I actually really like it.
Yeah, me too.
I have been enjoying the hell out of playing it, weirdly enough, and there's not a lot that you're doing either. So as you're traversing this universe and then traversing through another universe after that, it is just there's really not a lot that is compelling you to push forward, but for whatever reason I could not stop wanting to get into the next thing. And maybe it was just like a very simple explanation. Like when I was playing through it, I was beginning to ask myself, like, why do I keep playing this? Why am I even interested? Because I know it's just sort of like checking off objects on a list for me at this point because I was just proceeding through like, okay, I'm a tree now, and now I'm gonna be this flower, and now I'm gonna be this rock, and now I'm gonna be the little fucking calcium deposit on the rock, and then I'm gonna be the individual atoms within the calcium, and then like you like that alone seemed like it was enough, but then I got to thinking like I think it was actually the trophies that were doing it the most for me.
I love the trophy.
That is not where I thought you were going to take that.
I know, and I feel a little ashamed saying it out loud, but it is true. Like, I'm pretty sure the trophies were getting me, and I was like, the trophies were also a little convoluted. Like, obviously, in a game like this, they're going to be a little cryptic, like, oh, what do you do with this thing? You got to find out, but I was kind of enjoying figuring out what they had hidden achievements behind, because this is such a different game, man. It's so weird and unique and cool. It's a totally different experience.
It's not the atmosphere, the ambience, or
It's
the
the
way it makes
trophies,
you question
dude. It's that little-
existentialism. No, it's the trophies mostly. That's really what did it for me. There's another element that I wanted to touch on. And I don't know if this is only a construct that I've personally created for myself, or there's an actual theme within the game. But at the beginning of the game, they show you this object in the desert that you started in. I don't know if you started in a desert. Did you start in a desert? I need to know
I
that.
started as a bear, believe it or not.
So you were in like a forest
Yeah.
world.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so in that zone, you saw that it looked like a golden tank jack, like a big jack in the ground, right?
I think
Object,
I
strange
must
object.
have, but I must have just ignored it.
Okay, so later on, it starts to emerge that there's sort of a metagame taking place.
Okay.
I don't know if it's quite like a Pony Island level of subversion, but there's something else happening
Yeah.
within the actual narrative, which is kind of just freeform exploration, sandboxiness. And at one point, they tell you, do you remember that golden jack thing that you saw at the very beginning of the game?
Mm-hmm.
And you go, oh, yeah, I think I remember that. So, like, if you go back there, that's unlocked now. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, you're telling me I'm 60,000 universes away from where I started, and you expect me to get back to that?
Right.
You're teaching me a lesson right here, game. You're teaching me about transience and impermanence and doing it in a different way than I ever expected in this visual auditory medium.
It's right.
And I respect you for it, damn it.
It sounds a little over the top, but god damn it, he's right. This is a
about the
crazy
trophies,
fucking
though?
game. Man, the trophies are great. No, I'm not complimenting the game on its trophies. I'm saying that was the draw for me, weirdly enough, was that it was compelling to see what they had hidden accomplishments behind, because I couldn't conceive of what an accomplishment was, which is such a weird sentence, but it's true in this game. It's so crazy. It's such an interesting ride to take. Like it's so cool. I really like it. Everything is it totally blindsided me too. I had like no idea this was coming out, but it is so unique.
I saw a video of it like at E3 or something a year ago, and I was like, that is my jam already. Like, as soon as I saw the characters rolling end over end like that,
Oh god,
like, I'm 100% in for that. I'm ready.
like when I started
so
out
good.
too, like when I was just rolling around as a bear, I was like, okay, this is weird and cute, kind of like a goat sim style thing. But then I was very quickly introduced to why I was wrong about that assumption. I think it is like it's a Katamari Damacy plus Journey. That's the best way I can describe it. Because
Well, it made me think as well, which Katamari didn't really do.
Yeah.
It was just cute.
did Journey make you think?
Kind of, not nearly as much as this game,
Sure,
though.
yeah.
Like, I actually was thinking about this game, like, well into the next couple days, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to go back to it, and there's going to be a bunch more quotes I didn't hear yet.
Yeah.
As well as, you know, the objects in the worlds have quotes they tell you, too.
Mhm.
Like, you can run into ones that have little personal conundrums. I found a rock that was like, I really miss this animal that walked by me once, and I think I fell in love with it, and I don't know where it is, and if you ever find it, can you tell me? Because I miss her so much.
Mhm. Did you transform into that animal and show it the romance it once desired?
I may have been that animal at the time, but I don't think there was a resolution. I think it's just to make you think about things being personified.
This is like, it's the kind of game where I really wonder how much there actually is and how much I am not going to be able to see, you know?
Well, you can measure that directly. There's actually percentages.
Well, true, yeah. There's like the amount of items you can actually see. But I am also wondering, like, are there interactions like that where if you bring the right animal to the right other creature, will there be a specific thing that you can do?
I guess probably not.
Yeah.
The scope is so wide and so large that I feel like any kind of semblance of real depth is probably not going to be in the game, but I'm kind of okay with it because I don't mind the collecting of things and just the experiencing it too.
You don't, though, like, even have a sneaking suspicion that maybe something like that exists? Because it seems
There
like
is something going on because
Yeah.
at one point the game glitched out and a shitload of eyeballs appeared all over the screen and it scared the hell out of me.
Dude, I've had a couple
So-
of instances like that too, where like it'll
Yeah.
pop up and all of a sudden it'll look like the whole game is glitching out, and then there's these big
Yeah.
error messages and these warnings will flash.
That's the
and-
meta game that I was talking about.
Yeah.
There's something going on with that, and I'd like to know if there is an end goal or what, but I'll figure it out.
It's fucking wacky, man. Like I'm gonna play more of it. I'm really intrigued by it. It almost defies description. We've done our best here, but what a crazy game.
There's like NL and Mathis games, and they're all like strategy games, and there's like Nick and Bear games, and they're like sit under a mushroom and watch a movie games. I'm into that.
Takes all kinds.
I mean, I enjoy those style of games, but it takes something really special to get me into them. Like, I loved Journey. Like, I
Yeah,
adored
yeah.
that game so much. But I looked at some gameplay of everything, and I'm like, no. But I can respect
I
it.
really
for
don't
what
think
it
this is like I wouldn't say this if I didn't actually want you to play it, because like you can't judge this by looking at a trailer for it. It is
Well, I'm going to be honest. It's first world problems, and it's really stupid. But it's also on the PS4.
yeah.
Told you it'll be out on Steam in a month.
Yeah.
Just give it a little time.
Yeah, when
Play
it
it
hits
on,
Steam,
play it on
maybe I'll
PC.
check it
Yeah,
out.
that'll be.
Yeah.
It'll probably be better on PC too. It does chug a little bit every now and then when there's a lot of stuff going on the PS4. That's an unfortunate part of it.
Yeah, I'm hoping the extra time is to work on the draw distance and the amount of items you can have in your group. Because you can actually breed any object that you're in. You can make them dance, and then they breed. So you can have like 10,000 staplers potentially, all dancing in circles. You can also spawn any item that you've played as on the scale that you're at. So you can make like a quantum cigarette butt if you want.
Yeah, you can make a
That's the size of the
supernova appear above a lake or something like that. Like you can do.
Yeah, or you can do
basically
the
anything.
inverse and make a universe appear in the size of like a pebble.
Right. Yeah. It's fucking. It is so wild. But yeah, I've been enjoying it a lot. I've been having a lot of fun playing it. Weirdly enough, it's got a special sort of captivation to it that I am a fan of.
Soundtrack's really good too.
It's pretty. It's real good.
It's very soothing. It's a nice, relaxing thing to do, even if you don't feel like you're accomplishing anything. You're just having fun, moving around, looking at stuff.
And there's also like, this is definitely getting into this is a Bear and Nick game territory now. But there is basically an autoplay function. In fact, I think there actually exists
Yeah, there
a
is
proper
actually.
autoplay function. But if you just leave the controller idle, whatever you are will begin to just sort of act on its own, and it'll even go and find thoughts of other things, and you can just sort of watch it as it goes. So every now and then when an Alan Watts narration would start up, I would just sort of lean back and watch whatever the game wanted to do, and it was also pretty interesting.
It's the ultimate screensaver. It never ends.
There you go. There's everything. It's out on PS4 right now. Currently, it was
$15.
$15, yeah. And I'll be on Steam on April 21st. That's
You know,
everything.
I admire your ability to enjoy a game that is not beholden to an artificial treadmill of simulated progress.
Is that
No, you're wrong. It still has simulated progress, the collection element.
But to simply exist in a world that is pleasing to you on some level is
Yeah.
something of which I have to admit I am begrudgingly admirant.
dope? Good.
Play Proteus.
Oh yeah.
I-
Yeah,
see,
like
love-
Proteus, I don't understand. No,
I
what
love
do you,
Proteus.
How though? How, Sway?
Like, I back when I did like top 10 indie games of whatever year, like Proteus made it on my list. I don't know. It was like I enjoyed wandering around and the music and like
Yeah.
the weird shit that happened, and is just
See, and
Enjoy
I didn't
Proteus
actually,
made me cry, actually, at
I
the
didn't
end.
get into Proteus that much, so that's weird.
I loved Proteus.
Yeah.
Like it was relaxing to me. I don't know.
I
There
definitely
was something about it lulled me into this like susceptible state, and then by the time they made their big statement at the end, I was like, wow.
Huh.
It's very pretty.
I'm not necessarily trying to insult Proteus. It strikes me as one of those games everyone's like, I loved it. I have 12 minutes of playtime. And that's my own vestigial way of like justifying a game's goodness is like, well, I got 200 hours out of it. But at the same time, like...
So longer games are better? Like, who cares?
But, like, I feel like, take it to its extreme, there is some truth to it. Like, it just, I don't know. Whenever people are like, I love this game, it's my favorite game ever, and they have, like, a half hour in it, I like...
It made me feel a particular way. It's like a piece of poetry.
I guess I am, like, less open-minded than I would like to think.
And it's
I mean,
like,
Gone
because
Home.
Gone Home, you could just finish it in 2 minutes. Like, oh, it's just not
Right,
worth
but
it.
that's an even more logical extreme because that's like you're not even taking the effort to experience the game. You're just like, this is the button that goes to the end. Admittedly, I have like 2 hours, maybe 3 hours total in Gone Home, and I like it. I like it a lot. Is it one of my favorite games ever? I mean, it's somewhat up there, but I don't know. There's a story in Gone Home. And that's where like the invisible wall exists that like Proteus tells through emotion as opposed to actual words. And I can't get myself to legitimately cross that line.
There's a story in Proteus too. It's just very abstract.
That's what I mean is like, I see it. I see where you are there, but I can't get to it. It's like an experimental film versus like, I would rather just watch The Departed.
And I have 2 hours in Proteus. So even as much as I loved it, I don't have that long.
I can see where you're coming from. Like, it is, you have to be a particular mindset to be like, I enjoy games that are abstract as shit.
I enjoy the moment of just being in it rather than getting something from it.
That's what I think I was with the Proteus as well. I just enjoyed the world while I was in it.
Everything is... It's like... I mean, it's obviously an abstract game. It's trying to do... Well, I don't know, man. It is so hard to explain. It's just...
Well, it's like, you know, what's your favorite act of 2001: A Space Odyssey? Because for me, it's everything but the 25-minute segment where the dude is just having kaleidoscope colors hit him in the face. Like, the part with, you know, the monkeys and the human evolution, and then there's the sci-fi element, and then they go into space, and there's almost like the techno horror stuff going on with Hal. I'm like, I'm into it. And then when he gets shot into the wormhole and it's just kaleidoscopes and an LSD trip, and then he wakes up as like a 900-year-old man in a all-white bedroom on Europa with a monolith at the end of his bed, I'm like, you lost me. Still pretty good. I still liked it, but I feel like everything is in that Star Child part of the spectrum. And I haven't reached that level of transcendence yet where like I've gone through my own wormhole.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it walks you through the thought process of being in it as you play it. That's what the narration is.
That was, yeah, like one of the big things I wanted to note was that, and the fact that it sort of embraces the idea that this is going to be a kind of confusing experience, and there's no real right way to do it. You know, like you want to go get lost in this exploration of these rules in this setting, and it's encouraging that as you go. While Nick did say, like, obviously they kind of get you with the catch there, like, oh, remember that gate? All you gotta do is go back there, and you can go get into that new place.
But the thing is, you might never be able to get back there,
right.
And if you can't, that makes the statement even better.
Yeah,
because it's all about transience and perspective, and if you can get lost to such a degree, you can never find your way home. That's life. Every day we're in life, you're lost. You don't know where you're going.
I know where I'm going, though. I have a GPS. I get that subverts the joke, but that's also an apt metaphor for how I feel about like some of these games.
No, that's a metaphor.
But it's like when The Witness, and I say this with all due respect,
Step on every single thing I say.
When The Witness gets to the point where you're watching like Richard Feynman be like, well, you know, an atom is kind of like a pepperoni pizza.
Oh, spoiler.
Oh. In my head, I'm like, that's stupid, though. Like,
but I don't find this to be pretentious the way The Witness is, and I agree with you that The Witness is pretentious. I didn't even follow along into that. I was like, I don't know what's happening with these movies. Maybe one day I'll understand, but this is not that day. I guess my line is just further along than it is for you.
I think this game...
I think that's fair, yeah.
This game gets up its own ass a little bit, but not very badly. Like I think it sticks to what it's trying to tell you pretty consistently, and it has a lot of different ways of explaining it that are really interesting and compelling. It keeps you wanting to find out more.
And it's playful. And I think being playful, having a comedic element, having character like that is really what allows you to not be as pretentious.
Yeah, definitely.
In the interest of being self-aware, Inside is also up its own ass. Like,
Yeah.
to the point of sometimes literally being up its own ass. Like, that is definitely like the ending of Inside. I was like, this is pretentious, and I liked it. So it's not like I just dislike pretension, but that's more of me being a hypocrite selectively.
I don't even get where they were coming from with that game in particular. Like, how did that ending become the thing they chose to end that with? Not that this is the time or the place to have that discussion, but I don't know.
Well, the other part of that is, like, Inside didn't set off as a pretentious game, you know, like, I think from the onset, everything is like, this is going to blow your fucking mind, you know, so.
Well, the premise is intrinsically sort of pretentious, yeah.
Yeah.
Play as everything? What?
And
that can't be real.
Like, to a degree, they actually do it, too, which is crazy. But, yeah. It's, man, I think you guys should check it out. I really do. It's quite the game. I'm pretty impressed with it.
I don't think they'll like it, but I want them to see it.
You may not like it, but I want you to play it because it's...
When
like,
it hits PC, I will.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Because I think it's worth playing, honestly, just to see what they've done with it. All right. That's everything currently on PS4. Coming to PC April 21st.
You get to start on NieR.
Yeah, all right. I can do that.
I'm so mad. I didn't get a NieR code. God damn.
All right. Let's jump into NieR Automata, which I have been calling NieR Automata, and I don't think...
Yeah, I was saying Automata too, and
That's what I
some
was
people
too.
are like, that's right, and then some people are like, no, that's totally wrong, you're an idiot.
NieR Automata tells the story of androids
Yeah, that's better.
2B9S and A2 in their battle to reclaim the machine-driven dystopia overrun by powerful machines. See, it's so easy. I don't know why you guys struggle with describing games. All you got to do is read it off Steam.
Oh.
NieR Automata is the sequel to NieR, and I don't think any of us played NieR, but apparently that doesn't
Played
really
it for
matter.
like 15 minutes.
Okay, so you got a little
I
bit of
have
experience
almost no knowledge of it.
Yeah, the only thing I know about NieR is it's got a cult following because the story and world are cool, but the gameplay was garbage.
Right, okay. So NieR Automata is the sequel. We don't know anything about the previous one, but this one it's set in a world where humanity has been expunged from the planet, and they are holing up on the moon as robots from an alien race have come and take over Earth. And we are playing as androids who have been sent to Earth to attempt to reclaim that land and defeat the robot alien menace and reclaim it for the humans. There's a lot to swallow there, obviously, and let me attempt to throw in a little bit more into the mix by describing what you actually do in NieR Automata. Because when you start off, it is a mix between, let me try to list them all. You've got yourself, well, first of all, of course, it's an open world RPG first and foremost, but as the combat goes, you've got yourself, you got a shmup in there, definitely. You've got some side-scrolling shadow complex-ish elements mixed in. You got some over-the-top stuff. You got some twin-stick shooters mixed in there, too. Like, basically every kind of combat you could think of that would work within this setting and context is experimented with at some point within, like, the first 2 hours. Like, there's a ton of different ways that you engage in combat with the enemy, which was really exciting and really fun out of the gate. I thought I was going to be in love with this, actually, based on the first couple of hours, because I was really enjoying the way that it switched through, and it was really seamless, too. The way that you go from, like, open-world combat straight into side-scrolling, again, that Shadow Complex-esque sort of movement and combat through, like, just from one set piece to the other, it just sort of snaps into place, and it's really satisfying when it works. But other than that, well, I mean, there's quite a bit going on with this game. It's fairly complex, so I'll try to keep going, but feel free to jump in. We've got the chip system, which was one of the biggest perks to it that I don't know how much I like it, but let me try to describe what you got going on here. So you can change out your well, not your operating system. If you change out your operating system, you'll die. But you can change out the chipset that your AI utilizes. And you can change quite a bit, actually, from anything from like the HP gauge showing up on screen to your experience bar to your mini map. And then you can also, of course, add on additional damage. You can add on recovery bonuses. You can add on all sorts of things that you'll find throughout the course of the game. And you can make up to 3 customized chipsets. And you can do anything from like taking out all of the HUD stuff to leave more space to add on damage and whatnot. Or you can just go super easy mode and you can add a bunch of like auto fire and auto aim stuff to make it really easy to play through. There's a lot of customization, a lot of different options there with the chipsets. However, that was one of the first issues I had, was that there's not a lot of reason to use most of them, I felt. At least early on. I heard that like as you go, the chips can tend to even get like a little overpowered. Like there's some chips that apparently are entirely game changing and are basically necessary. But as I was going along in the first 5 or 6 hours, like I really didn't find much that I was that interested in. Is like I didn't feel the need to change out my chips because I was like, this isn't really going to make a difference, right? Did you feel the same way or?
I bought a couple stupidly from the vendors, and I found out that all the ones you buy from vendors have the maximum slot fullness. So they were 11 slot chips.
Yeah.
So basically I wasted my money because that's like half of your inventory space.
Right.
But if you find them in the wild, they don't take that. They could take 1 or 2 slots instead, which is pretty reasonable. But, like, I wish I'd noticed that. Like, they tell you that, but I didn't know to look for it until after I bought one. I guess I could resell it as well.
Right.
But yeah, I agree. The chips are set sort of in a way that the scope of them changes throughout the course of the game. As you get further into it, you get more powerful ones, but at the beginning, they're pretty minor.
Yeah. So there's the whole chips system that you got going there. You can also equip different weapon sets as well. So you've got 2 hands, of course. You can wield 2 weapons at the same time, and you can switch the hand that you're holding the weapon with. You can adjust your combos based on that. The combat is really solid. Actually, probably one of my favorite parts of the game, where it more or less requires you to use every single button, which is rare in not just the rarity of the existence of that, but also the rarity of the existence of doing that well. And I think NieR has done pretty good utilizing the PS4 controller, at least, because like it's pretty satisfying to figure out all of the different individual elements of combat and then put them together fluidly. For example, you've got your what's the word I'm looking for? Your weak attack, and then you've got your strong attack with your square and your triangle buttons. And then you've got your shoulder buttons that all do things that are useful within combat. You've got, of course, your aiming with your L2 button. You've got the L1, which is kind of a powerful shot from your little bot buddy. Then you've got your R1, which is just continuous fire from him. And then you've got the R2, which I believe is the dodge. So you're using all those things actively throughout combat while also using your face buttons for the weak attacks and for jumping and whatnot. So it does a really good job of making combat interesting. However, most of the little like small fry enemies, you don't really have to change it up all that much. You can kind of just wail on them Kingdom Hearts style, and that gets the job done more or less. But when you're fighting the bosses, that's definitely where it shines. Like every boss fight has been really exciting.
All right, I'll jump in and say that my favorite thing so far has been exclusively the combat and the OST. Like, I was coming into this in a sort of a different spot because, well, I love Bayonetta, personally. Platinum Games, I pretty much just... They're one of the few developers I mostly trust. I know they've had a couple missteps with Korra and the TMNT game and such, but I generally believe that when it comes to character action games, they're pretty much on point. I did play enough of the first NieR to know that this is a game that's, like, pretty odd, and not odd necessarily in a way that I'm always good with. Like, it's odd in like a very niche sci-fi kind of way that you have to pay a ton of attention to the lore, and like it doesn't it's not accessible, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And that's not a problem. It's just like you have to be aware of that going in, because it might not be a game that grabs you. And after spending about 4 hours with it, I think that's about where I'm landing, is that it might not be a kind of game that grabs me. I've done maybe 2 or 3 boss fights now, and they seemed all right, but I have a lot of problems with the camera. It really does this kind of shitty thing where it switches you into shmup mode sometimes, and all of a sudden you're doing your bullet hell thing, which I know is a staple of the game, and I'm not trying to say it's intrinsically bad, But if I'm having no problem dodging when I'm in third-person action mode, and then you put it to overhead mode like this, now all of a sudden I can't see what's in front of me anymore.
Right.
And I'm not fighting properly, and I found that very frustrating.
Yeah.
The other thing is it's got a very awkward, at least for me, quick heal system. Like there's a toolbar that you can pull down if you hit down on the D-pad, and much like Zelda, you have to take your finger off the left analog stick to hit down on the D-pad. And to do so, you get that like 1 or 2 critical moments of I can't control my character. Yeah, there's that thumb motion again, which for me was enough time to actually get hit by the boss and die, which is not the end of the world because it functions sort of like a Dark Souls system where you go back and pick up your body and then you get all your chips back and it just equips them again. So it's not a problem. It's just a little bit frustrating, and maybe there's a way I could, redo that mapping or something. They were saying that you could hit start, but like when I was trying to use the pause menu, it was just saying like paused. Sometimes I could get to the menu, sometimes I couldn't, and maybe it was because I was in a boss fight.
During combat, or boss fights, I think is when it might be restricted.
Right, and then there is an auto heal chip as well. So there's ways I can make this easier, but like I shouldn't have to. It's just sort of a problem, in my opinion. Granted, I don't think it's a game-breaking problem because obviously it seems like a lot of people love this game.
Shut up!
Okay, Mathis,
Shut
I won't
up,
talk
Nick.
anymore. Does he know his mic is on, I guess?
It's got to be those neighbors again.
I guess so.
Yeah, I definitely echo the camera thing because there are particularly instances, like I think there was one boss fight that you might have even been referencing with that over the top camera switch where it feels like you're locked in to this very narrow perspective for some reason.
So tiny.
Yeah,
it's like 1/10 the size you could normally see.
And it's so like you want to move it around, but it won't let you. And like, why? Come on, I gotta see this stuff. But yeah, it's weird in those instances. But like I said, like when it works, as far as its ability to change perspective rapidly and really change the gameplay, like I am impressed by that. In the instances where it's been successful.
Yeah.
I think you're right in that it's got to hook you with the story. They've got some really crazy, just over the top nonsense that's going on with like the fucking. I don't want to spoil a lot, but there's a scene where you walk in and you see a bunch of robots banging each other for some reason, and it's so off-putting. But I guess that's sort of like the idea is that it's trying to change your perception of what these beings are, but at the same time, it's just a bunch of robots banging each other, and you sort of don't know how to handle it. But it's it throws a lot of stuff at you, and it may be difficult to parse it all out. And apparently, this is also the kind of game that necessitates multiple playthroughs. Like you got to be pretty committed and enjoy this. I think to really get the full experience out of it.
Somebody in chat just said, I would love everything about it if I made it past my first 2 playthroughs.
Jesus, yeah.
I don't know if they're joking, but I believe they could not be joking.
I hear that sentiment, dude. Like, you've got to play it 3 times, I guess, to really get the full impact, and that is, man.
The first ending when you beat the first time is not actually real. You have to beat it like 3 times.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I love the combat. I mean, it's got the Bayonetta-style combat, but I don't know if there's enough combat to sustain the game because a lot of it seems to be wandering about.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of the mid and late game is going to be similar to that because it is sort of losing me with the fact that I'm just wandering around most of the time.
It's an open-world game that sort of punishes you for exploring. Like, I don't know if this makes sense,
very
but
constricted too. There's a lot of like invisible walls. It's levels, so you're not going out into an open world to explore. There are very, very clearly set boundaries, and you are limited to where you can go.
And I found the invisible walls to be incredibly egregious and frustrating because they show you this big, vast looking landscape, but everywhere that looks like a place you can walk into is just wall.
It's just blocked, yeah.
And it looks like you can walk through it, like it'll be an open wall with a door, and you just can't go through the door.
Yeah, which is especially...
It makes me feel like it's a PS2 game. Like, why is this like this?
Yeah, like, it's especially frustrating because it's not like that everywhere. Like, there are points where you think to yourself, I bet I could get up there, and you can. I mean, you can, like, scale buildings and get up to secret places, but that's not the case everywhere, which is kind of disappointing. But
And this is what I was talking about. I was just streaming this earlier today, and I think consistency in the language of this game is its biggest issue. Whether that be the way the camera controls and just in generally the controls work, or the visual language of the landscapes and what you can and can't do, it's a bit too variable, and it's a bit too like instanced in various places.
yeah,
I want sort of a universal understanding of what my character is capable of, and they kind of change and morph that perception as you go from one place to another. I don't like that so much.
yeah, it's disappointing me a little bit, just because like I was totally on board 2 hours in, you know, like going through
Right.
that massive action sequence at the start is like, this is badass. I feel awesome switching through all these different perspectives and using all of the buttons and getting to be more familiar with actual combat. And now I've just been doing fetch quests for an hour and a half, and I don't know where it fixes
Right.
to end, because I feel like every time I deliver something to someone, 3 more people have a parcel that they'd like to give me that I can hand off later on, and I'm tired of having to
open
say
world
yes to
side
things.
missions.
Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't do a lot of unique stuff there for as much uniqueness as there is elsewhere.
And I'm not really sure I get the criticism that's like, well, if you don't get it in X amount of hours, you should just keep playing. It's like, well, how long until I have fun? Like,
Yeah.
is it not the same game later on too? And apparently it changes so drastically it's not.
Yeah, so that's it's
So like that also is inconsistent.
I really like. I want to like it, but I
I
don't
do
think I
too.
do. I can't get past these bits. But I see why the fans of this are eating it up, certainly. But
I guess if you die in the tutorial, it's an ending.
yeah.
I hear that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. You just
Yeah, I
straight
read
up
people were
lose.
very frustrated because there's no save point for like the first hour or so. So if you play it on the hardest difficulty, like, and you die, you just lose all the progress.
Yep.
Oh damn.
Which
That's the
can be
hardest
pretty
difficulty,
frustrating
though.
if you're trying to get started there.
Yeah.
Probably don't play on hard though. If you need that.
I have decided I'm going to play this.
I'm gonna try it too.
Kate played it, right?
I'm reading the Steam reviews. Yeah, Kate's played a bunch of it and she really likes it. But
Okay, mhm.
I'm reading the Steam reviews. This game is like if Hideo Kojima smoked weed and tried to make Final Fantasy. That's some pretty good.
Oh yeah, I kind of get that actually.
Yeah, wow. It's apt.
That actually makes a lot of sense based on what I played.
There are some reviews that make me wonder because I don't quite yet know what kind of game it is. Is it a character action game with RPG elements
It's
and a
largely-
batshit crazy story?
It's mostly no, it's like mostly about the story. The
But it's a
characters-
character action game, though.
Yeah,
It's got like, I wish it was more of that than it is, because most of it so far is open world RPG.
and a lot of like vague. You don't understand why you're doing this, but you're doing this, and you're like hurting things that don't want to be hurt and aren't fighting you, and but you're doing it anyway because you have a reason, but they don't tell you.
Yeah. This is
See,
I feel
this
like,
review frightens me, where it says, this game is the most special game I've ever played, ironically recommended by a trustworthy lady. There's a lot to unpack in that sentence
Yeah.
that makes me wonder if I'm part of the target audience for this. But I feel like maybe this is another gateway for me to get into anime. In the sense that, you know, right now chat's over here in the anime and I'm over here, and the Venn diagram touches with one point that is spirited away.
Huh.
And I haven't gotten it. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, it's weird, and it's a video game, and it's got like sci-fi elements, and the praise is relatively high. I'm like, I'm interested.
It's pretty anime too. I definitely
That is not what I expected you to take away from that. You realize that's going to fundamentally change how we interact if you get into anime.
I don't see myself watching like, you know, Love Hina or something like that.
I
but
don't either.
you know, I'm looking at this and I'm like, maybe this is anime that I can get behind.
Will you watch One Punch Man? Just do it,
Oh, absolutely not.
please.
That's such crap. It's so good.
It's wonderful.
Just play it or just
There's
watch it.
no
Play it too.
shortage.
It's too
of-
mainstream for him.
There's no shortage of good media. It's got to strike you in a unique
It's
fashion.
actually like one of my favorite shows, not just
It will
anime.
strike you.
One Punch Man is fantastic.
Was-
If you're getting this inkling, I want you to watch it.
Well, let's let him start on the drip feed first, and maybe we can work on him later.
I gotta watch the original Ghost in the Shell first.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never seen that either. I need to see it before the movie comes out.
See, the thing is, when you're born and you watch like Western movies, you're like 8 years old. They're not going to be like, hey, watch Dial M for Murder. You're going to go watch Fern Gully or something, right? Madagascar.
Yeah.
But if I'm getting into a form of media as an adult, I owe it to myself and the community to start from the genuine 100% canonized classics, I think.
Okay.
I have that opportunity.
I just like pretending that you were the character in One Punch Man.
See, that's another reason that it's very Undertale. Extremely
it
Undertale
works
voice.
though. Like you just could have been that guy.
The other thing, okay, Chad is also saying it's a parody of mainstream anime, so I wouldn't even understand it at this point.
It's just a parody of like a lot of like anime.
It's
like,
a parody of the
just
tropes.
overpowered.
Yeah, like it's a parody
Dragon
of the
Ball
tropes
Z.
of anime that you would probably be familiar with having not watched a lot of anime.
Yeah, it parodies like Dragon Ball Z, which is like all about these buff dudes who are just too powerful and always beat the bad guy. It's about One Punch Man is about a hero who literally can just punch someone and they die and he just wins and he's like bored with life.
But I feel it's like telling somebody, yeah, like the second movie you should watch is Airplane. You got to have like
Maybe.
a foundation for what it's referencing. Anyway,
Watch Titan.
Watch
Attack
whatever
on
you
Titan.
want to watch.
I think I'm gonna play NieR Automata. I'm not.
I'm definitely
Play
gonna try
NieR Automata.
I have it.
Automata?
It's installed.
Automata.
I just haven't clicked that button yet.
You say automata, I say automato.
Yeah.
And then maybe, well, like Mathis, you're one step ahead of me. You've already gone through Danganronpa, so
I never finished it. That game is too long.
Put it
I
on
understand
blast.
that.
Well,
I got like I played like 10 hours of it, and then people are like, "You're not even halfway through," and I'm like, "I'm done. I'm done with this game. I'm not gonna go through it. The mystery isn't enough for me to care." No, I got 13 hours into it. 13.
I want to say regarding NieR that I have a feeling I'm probably going to play it quietly over the course of the next 3 months, like for 2 hours at a time.
Yeah.
And maybe at some point I'll come back to it and be like, you know what? I eat my words. I was wrong. But at the beginning, it's a bit slow and a bit obtuse. And that might just be the wall that's stopping me. But again, the combat is satisfying and I like the chip system. So there's a chance that I'll like it. It's not grabbing me as hard as it needed to grab me to be like, I'm all in, which I know a lot of people have been about that.
I think you and I have like basically the exact same opinion about it. And
Right.
I got probably like 5 hours in. I don't know how much you got, but it's about
Yeah,
that
something
point
like that.
where I don't know if I want to
I
keep
beat
going.
the boss of Disney World, basically.
Yep, I remember that. And that is another point I wanted to make too, is that this is unfortunately one of those games where I think it's probably a little impossible to have a pretty valid opinion on it without putting maybe 30 or 40 hours in, because it seems like it does change up quite a bit over the course of the experience, but yeah, we can't do that, unfortunately, for
Not
most
yet,
games.
anyway.
Yeah. Okay, cool. But yeah, anyway, that's NieR Automata. It's currently out on PC, $60. Also available on PS4, and I think it's only on PS4, right?
PS4 and PC. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
It's like such a hard one to say. Do you recommend this or not? Because
Yeah.
some people I've been seeing in chat are like, I'm so ready to buy this, and some people are like, I am repulsed by this. It's like I don't know how to tell you. It's
Duality of chat.
thumbs up, thumbs down.
I don't just want to cop out and say if you like this kind of thing, then you should get it, because obviously.
Well, I love this kind of thing. I'm all in on Bayonetta, but this was like not all the way for me. So
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah, it is. It's a tough recommendation.
Watch a Let's Play for an hour or two, or get a trial on your friend's version or something.
I think it's like.
Well, there's a demo, right? Like,
Oh, is there?
Oh yeah, there was a demo. Is it still available though?
I don't know if there's a PC demo.
I know
if
the
there's a
demo on
Steam
PS4
demo.
is what got so many people into it.
Yeah,
So
there's definitely a demo on PS4
There's
that.
that.
might not exist anymore, but there was for sure. Yeah, there we go. NieR Automata. I had one more thing I want to say. I totally forgot though.
oh well.
Oh well. All right.
Oh well.
There we go. You know what? I am going to. Let's just do this real fast, because really this portion of the show that I wrote in the docket for Hollow Knight is me echoing Nick's extremely high recommendation of it. And I want to hear Ryan sort of summarize his thoughts on it so far as well. I think you and I are about the same place in it, actually.
Probably, yeah.
But it is I
Lost
have been,
somewhere beneath the caverns of dirt
Help
mouth.
this man.
absolutely no idea where to go. But yeah,
Yeah, Hollow Knight is a great video game.
yeah, it is.
Basically, full stop. I'm trying to resist the temptation because everyone knows it's good to be like, this is what I don't like about it.
Yeah,
But I feel like combat is a little floaty. And like when I'm in combat with an enemy, I don't feel like I'm locked in combat. I feel like sometimes I'm like fighting against the environment as much as I'm fighting against the enemy. However, that's really like this much of the overall enjoyment is compromised by that.
Yeah, it is.
I just wish that the combat felt a little tighter, but that's it.
I have
Keep
just
playing. You might find something that helps you with that.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
shit.
I know that there is a seal for that or whatever, but I just wish they did it instead of making it seal.
I don't even agree. I think the combat's great.
Yeah, I do too.
But like the combat is like really floaty though.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I felt
but
pretty tight the whole time.
Is the thing like I wish there was like basically I wish there was a built-in lock on. I wish that if you click the right stick, it goes like you're fighting this guy, and then all of your movement is sort of contextualized around fighting that guy.
No, man. Like it's got its system. I think the floatiness that you're describing is just sort of inherent to the jump, isn't it? Just the gravity associated with the immediate descension. Or maybe you're having a completely different experience, but like I just love it. I just really every part of it has been fantastic. The music is wonderful. The Metroidvania elements are done extraordinarily well, including like the teasing of certain areas over time. You know, like they pace that out extremely well to the point where I don't even feel I'm doing like I don't even feel I have to try really hard to just sort of progress. You know, like I often get caught in the loop of there's a correct way to proceed and I need to do X, Y, and Z. Yeah. But Hollow Knight is extremely exploratory, and I'm really enjoying that.
Can I dovetail off that point really quickly? I just want to say that I think what makes Hollow Knight kind of a couple of points above the average Metroidvania and into sort of the masterful category is that they've done such a good job of contextualizing the level design to teach you so many elements throughout the game that you don't even know you're being tutorialized to. It just happens seamlessly throughout. These developers seriously knew what they were doing when it comes to how you move through this space. And I have so much respect for how they put the game together, and I'm still like so happy to gush about Hollow Knight.
Yeah,
even though I finished it 2 weeks ago.
Respect for the player too is important. Like the respect that comes with assuming who is the person who is playing this is going to be able to figure out what they need to do. And you know, like there's a lot of hand holding that happens these days, and even weirdly enough, in the game Everything, I felt like my hand was being held a little too often. Like they were popping up with little messages like, "Hey, you can dance, you know. Don't forget about this," or "Hey, don't forget you can do this weird little thing." He just wanted to let you know. That's a weird example, obviously, but I'm just saying, like in general, there's a lot of that going on in games still, and Hollow Knight is an excellent example, a master class probably of instructing the player as you go without direct instruction.
I think the best thing about it is on the design level. Like, it does a great job of like instilling the player with a feeling of wonder. Like especially when you're just getting introduced to a new area, it raises like a lot of questions very quickly about, oh, what's this area that I'm going into? Oh, there's like a carcass of an enemy that I've never seen before. And then there's a new enemy type. And, you know, well, this enemy type has armor. That's weird. Previously, I was fighting a bunch of mushrooms. And then, you know, they do a really good job with the atmosphere in the game in particular.
Definitely. But yeah, that was all. I just want to make sure everybody is aware of the fact that Hollow Knight's fucking awesome. Yeah, that'll do.
If you needed it to be said, because apparently Ryan did, it's Dark Souls.
I am amazed. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's like a Rushmore thing. You know, she was my Rushmore. Like maybe this is my Dark Souls in 2D. But people are like, it's not Dark Souls. It's actually Dark Souls. Is
That's
this
the
like?
clever bits of Dark Souls. I agree. Yes.
I'm actually to the point where I'm like, either I'm crazy or it's like a Fight Club thing, where at the end of the game, it's like, don't tell anybody else it's Dark Souls because it's really fun to discover that for yourself.
Yeah.
But it is so much, not to be rude, but so much better of a 2D Dark Souls than Salt and Sanctuary is.
Oh, Salt and Sanctuary.
Salt and Sanctuary is like copying Dark Souls 1-to-1 and making it 2D. And Hollow Knight is like they've learned lessons from Dark Souls and then implemented those into the game design of their Metroidvania.
Definitely.
I just wanted to grab anybody that's like, oh, I'm a really big Dark Souls fan, but this doesn't appeal to me. Like, maybe you might be surprised.
I guess it depends what you like about Dark Souls, but if you like sort of I think you actually hit the nail on the head, like the teaching without actually telling you what you're being taught and discovering the world for yourself and kind of getting more into the tone of the game as opposed to, you know, a big bug comes out and goes like, well, thousands of years ago, this used to be a, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like the fact that it's much more told through atmospheric things that you find throughout the game. You find a shrine that says something cryptic and you try to fit it into like what you know about the world around you and draw a conclusion from that.
They even subvert some of the traditional tropes in Metroidvanias a little bit. There isn't just the usual stack of power-ups, although there are many of them. The way you move through the world isn't quite so straightforward that you go, oh, I see that, and I know how to overcome that because I've played Super Metroid. Something like that, right? Like, there are some times that'll work, but usually you've kind of just got to figure it out on your own, and the way you get to a lot of the power-ups isn't necessarily obvious. So the exploration is at first and foremost, and once you know where everything is, speedrunning becomes the next possibility. And I think I could possibly go back and maybe see how quickly I could beat the game. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, I could certainly see myself wanting to speedrun that a time or two.
I only wish it was longer. And it's like 40 hours long.
Yeah, it's pretty big, too.
Something.
All right, cool. There we go. So yeah, Hollow Knight's fucking awesome. Check it out. Elise is obsessed with it. Like, this only happens with the select few games with her.
She got so into it.
Yeah, once she latches onto a game like this, it's just like she's got her teeth sunk deep. She knows everything about it. Yeah, there you go. Hollow Knight. Good stuff. And that is going to take us into everybody's favorite segment. It's Ask Roundtable. That's the segment where Mathis coughs to introduce it. It is the weekly segment
out of nowhere.
where you send your questions to roundtableyt@gmail.com. We do our best to answer them. This week's question comes from Ryan. Let me pull this up
Hey,
real quick.
Bear, what kind of underwear do you wear? Either way, it's got poop stains in it, probably.
Oh, you got
You
me.
stinky bear.
I'm wearing boxers with hearts on them. Or no, they're lips. Sorry, they're lips. Yeah. Ryan says, hey guys, first off, love the show and keep up with great work. Thanks, buddy. I'll jump right into it. I've recently been playing through the FFX HD remaster. It was my first Final Fantasy years ago. When it came on the PC, I knew I had to get it. Been mostly enjoying it, but it's not as good as I remember, and binge playing it has made the number of cutscenes slowly grind on my experience. I hear that. But as much as I'm still enjoying it, it reminds me of when I thought Oblivion a few years ago and found that it wasn't as good as my first time playing it either. So, with that in mind, what is your experience with nostalgia goggles and actually going back to play games once again? Have you got ones that were worse than you remember, or ones that were as good or better? He's also got a suggestion for Nick's Weird Games theme song. He wants a version of 1 Week by the Bare Naked Ladies. You got that?
Have we not done that one? I feel
I
like
think
We
we
might have
have.
done that one, yeah.
Maybe we have.
It's so lyrically dense.
Yeah, agreed.
I've got the theme song on backup if you want to
Yeah, no,
have a fallout, but
you guys answer this. I'm going to open up Notepad.
all right, sounds good. So the nostalgia goggles, I think this is definitely a Mathis-suited question with Judge Mathis.
Funny you say that.
Yeah.
No, it's a little self-promo. It's the 1-year anniversary of Judge Mathis today.
Wait, seriously? What?
Yeah, been a year since I've been doing it. It's crazy.
Dude, that
I know.
feels like it flew by. Wow.
It did feel like it flew by. It's crazy that it's been that way.
Congrats, that's cool.
Thanks, I appreciate it. And that channel is built around reviewing old games that I either have nostalgia for or I've never played but are considered like really good. And it's actually interesting, like the progression of the way I look at these games as I started, because I think early on I very much did the same thing. You go back and you're excited, and then you play, you're like, well, this isn't as good as I remember.
Yeah.
But I honestly think if you go in, and what I tend to do now is go in and look at it in the context of the year that it came out, you can still appreciate the game and enjoy the game for how good it was back then. One of the ones that I played and I kind of looked to is I did a System Shock 2 review, and System Shock 2 is regarded as a masterpiece. It is a game that influenced game design for years to come. And you go back and play it, and if you're going back and playing and expecting this like revolutionary game, but you're going to hold it to the standards of today, you're going to be disappointed with System Shock, because there's a lot of design in that game, specifically with the UI, that is like a clusterfuck. A lot of it's trying to do everything and give you all the information possible, while also trying to be somewhat accessible, and it kind of flubs it really, really hard. But if you go back and look at it as 1999 and look at the games that are coming out in 99, what System Shock 2 did was you see the rippling effect of games for decades to come. And I think because of that, I can actually really enjoy these games without nostalgia glasses and say, no, I can see why these games are still excellent, or were considered excellent. Some of them don't hold up. I think PC games in particular hold up better than most, because PC games they're pretty. There's a lot of strategy ones that came out back in the day, and those are still really good, even considered today.
Mm-hmm. Nick, you got any you
Yeah.
consider good or better?
Well, so the one that because I gotta basically piss everybody off if possible.
Sure,
So the
yeah.
one that I'm gonna say that I think does not hold up as well as I wish it did is Final Fantasy VII.
I agree
agree
yeah,
with you.
definitely.
And the reasoning behind that, it's a number of things. Number one, the writing is rough at times, and it took a bit of an odd angle at times. Granted, the gameplay systems underlying that were still fun, but they happened to hit at the very most awkward stage of game development in terms of graphical resolution, which is the pseudo-hybrid screenshot plus 3D models.
Yes.
Like really awkwardly low-poly maquette kind of style stuff.
Golden Age.
And I know what they were doing. It makes sense for the time, but it just doesn't hold up for me. I just have a hard time with it. Doesn't mean the game's bad. I know it's many people's favorite game of all time, and I'm not trying to shit on it, but for me, it doesn't hold up. And I'm curious to see where they go with the remake of it, or if they just make it worse or something.
Someone in chat actually said, they said I can appreciate it, but do I still consider them fun? That's actually a really hard question to answer, because some of them are, maybe it's not as hard as I'm thinking. Some of them are fun. For instance, Theme Hospital is one I did 2 weeks ago.
I want to talk about that, yeah.
And I played it, and I was having fun with it for the first 2 or 3 hours, probably. I was like, this is really fun. But again, as somebody who's played so many strategy and management games over the past couple of years, it very quickly became apparent what has been improved over the past 20 years in these style of games and where its weaknesses lie. But I still think you can have fun with them as long as you understand what you're getting into. It's really tough. Not everybody's going to be able to go back and have fun with them, I guess. I think it's going to be a personal thing. I don't think everybody can go back and play an old game and appreciate it and have fun. But there are some games that still hold up, I think, pretty well and can be still a lot of fun. Some of them are fucking hard to get through.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie about that. Theme Hospital, I don't want to say it was hard to get through, but once I realized the limitations of the game, I was missing some of that quality of life stuff. That definitely brought the fun aspect down.
It's interesting because, like you mentioned with Theme Hospital, that genre of games has basically become an entirely different beast here in 2017. You know, there's so many things that they've learned that they've applied throughout the course of 17 years of development that has made those sorts of games so much better over time. But there's also genres like the first-person shooter, which really have not changed that fundamentally over the course of 15 or 20 years. You know, once that genre was created, it was more or less set in stone. I can go back and play Halo 1 on the PC and probably not really feel like it's that dated, you know? I'm playing...
It'll just be a little ugly.
Yeah,
It looks smeary and kind of like low res, but
exactly.
yeah.
But it'll be basically the same experience as something like that's a bit of an overstatement, but it's pretty similar to an FPS game that you'd play in 2017, right? But Yeah, it definitely depends on the style, I think, because there are game genres that have just changed so dramatically over the course of these last 15 years where you're not going to play something even close to what you'd be playing now.
Yeah, agreed. Like it's weird because Theme Hospital is like my go-to of like, man, this genre has fucking evolved so much.
Right.
But another Bullfrog game that I did a review on, Dungeon Keeper, I think aged even better than Theme Hospital because that theme and the way that game plays, it's still a management game, but its mechanics are still so unique to Dungeon Keeper, and we don't get to see that very much. It still holds up. It holds up, in my opinion, more better than Theme Hospital because there's a freedom in it that allows you to build your dungeon the way you want, where Theme Hospital locks you into these buildings and you can't expand the way you want.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, Dungeon Keeper, I think, is still a better game, though it still falls into the same time that the games came out, and it still falls into the same genre, I guess, that it came out. So you can directly kind of compare similar games from the 90s and say, well, I wish these aspects were in this one. It would have made it more fun.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a lot to take into account when you go back and play old games. You have to be in the right mindset to appreciate some of them.
Mm-hmm.
My good slanted one would be Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I still think that's like one of the epitome of the most chaotic wild fighters and done really well across pretty much everything except for the freaking character select screen's music. And the interface is a bit ugly because it's trying to be bombastic and over the top, but who cares? That's just a stylistic decision. They hit the sweet spot of having really nice, like relatively low res but well animated 2D sprites on top of 3D animated backgrounds. And they did it in a way that they actually pulled it off. It didn't look too crappy. I don't think anybody thinks it does. And the action is super fast and fluid and still holds up just fine. And fighting games don't change all that much in their concept. If anything, they're actually coming up with new ways to become more convoluted now because they're doing stuff like with the new Guilty Gear. They're actually making fully 3D animated models that are trying to be exactly the same as sprites. Mm-hmm. So they're like creating an extra element of, graphical issue trying to make something flat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, they did it fine the first time, and I guess it probably makes it a lot easier to animate. You don't have to draw each frame. You just have to contort them using the requisite software. So probably for cost reasons, that's why they've gone that way. But, I think it was probably the pinnacle of 2D sprite-based fighting games is Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
I think I agree with you. I played so much Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It's amazing somebody just has to put in chat, want to take you for a ride, and
now there it is.
All that's in
I'll
my
take
head.
you for a ride.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, fuck. There are some games too that you go back and like, man, these are still so good because there are not a lot of games who do that. And I think Baldur's Gate, like Baldur's Gate 2 specifically, like as somebody who grew up with console games, to know that I missed out on an RPG that choice heavily influenced story, something that I only dreamed of when I was a console player, like that existed back then, and to go back and play it and still see how well it holds up. I'm jealous I didn't get to play that when it came out because that would have blown my mind as somebody who grew up on like JRPGs instead, where choice wasn't at all an aspect.
Sweet. There we go. Well, thank you, Ryan, for the question. That was a good one. I appreciate that a lot.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're a good guy. If you got a question, you can send it over to roundtableyt@gmail.com. That's going to bring us into everybody's favorite segment. After their favorite segment, it's Nick's Weird Games. I've given him like 6 minutes, which might as well be a year in Ryan Letourneau's world. So let's
I'm ready.
All right.
Okay. I mean, it's not the whole song, but
yeah.
Okay. So, we're starting in media res here. It'd be like, holy cow, just see that one game? It's the exact same as their last 5 releases, an RPG on PC and then PS3, and IGN gave it merely a 6.3 bad like the bouncer when you play it. It's pretty bad shit, unless you really like the background. Despite all this, they made a new one that's actually fun, but then the studio just shut down. How can I help it if I think this game is pretty bad? It's $60 and it sucks, so it made me mad. Yet it found its way to Nick's Weird Collection. Now he tortures us to test our recollection. I have a tendency to look at chat when we play. I have a history of guessing that it's Brink.
Wow, that was fucking incredible.
That might have been your best one.
That was easily your best one.
Thank you.
Holy shit.
We got to just stop requiring you to answer the Ask Roundtable question and instead just give you that
Let you
time
go
to
off and take a notepad.
Yeah.
Right.
And no more of that theme song. Let him do it. He's got to do it.
He's got it. All right. Good shit.
It's under pressure.
Hang on.
Yeah.
I need to hide chat.
Nick's Weird Games.
Okay. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So good.
That was so good.
All right, if you're not familiar, Nick's Weird Games is the little thing we do where I pick a game from my collection and everybody tries to guess it based on the hints that I give. Today's game is developed for Xbox and Microsoft Windows.
Okay.
I can't tell you who the developer is because it would give away something about it, but I can tell you that the North American publisher was Kemco and the European one was THQ. It was released in North America in 2004, and it is functionally a combat flight simulator, but it's sort of a hybrid in a couple of ways.
Okay.
I'm going to lean back and ponder.
Yeah, I feel like I probably ended up playing. I played a lot of flight.
So
games.
let that breathe for a second. You fight in the Proteus Islands in a futuristic world where countries' borders no longer exist, and Earth is controlled by a number of megacorporations, notably the DST,
Is this
as well as Proteus and Lobos Robotics.
Is this I think I have a few in my mind. I can't think of the name of it now. It's like an anime game. Fuck.
Wonder if chat got it already. No, actually, they haven't gotten it yet.
Wow. Okay, keep it going then.
I picture this giant, colorful anime game that's cell
Chat
shaded.
has it now.
Oh, shit.
It's a game is set over 20 levels in which the player takes possession of various weapons and ships in order to accomplish each mission. The game was well received critically, but not a commercial success, due in part to a delayed North American release due to a lack of advertising. Got a lot of 7s, C+, B+ kind of ratings. Good sound effects, good gameplay, too linear, not having multiplayer apparently.
BattleTech, is it?
No.
That's what that was. I think that's what I was thinking.
Took chat more than 2 suggestions to guess it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this.
It was criticized as being not as freeform as it seems.
Not as freeform as it seems. I feel like I know what this game is.
The controls are simple, which is saying something for a flight simulator style.
Yeah, so
really,
it's more
geez.
arcadey.
Visuals of the game and voice acting were ridiculously undulating.
That's
That's
even
the quote they used.
Is it? It's not Crimson Skies,
Oh, sorry, the
right?
learning curve was ridiculously undulating. No, it was not Crimson
Yeah,
Sky.
it's not Crimson Skies. That's too like popular.
Figure
Yeah.
out
Is
what
it?
that means.
Sorry,
I'm
What
just
does
gonna
that
go
mean?
through.
No, I misread. It was the learning curve was ridiculously.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Is it? I need to search because I don't know if this game came out on Xbox. So before I say anything, I'm gonna look. And
Yeah,
see.
no, it was Xbox and
No, but the thing the game I'm thinking of. So I want to see. That looks like it.
I'm gonna try and ground the person.
Is it
down.
Jaeger?
Yes,
Okay. Yep.
Dude,
That
nice.
game's weird.
Wow.
it is
Because
Jaeger.
I remember the cover for that game is like wicked boring, if I remember correctly.
I'm even showing it to you right
there
now.
it is.
Oh, I'm not looking. Sorry, hang on.
If you,
That is not the cover.
yeah, the cover on the wiki page, by the way, looks like a fucking crazy ass like anime movie.
Yeah.
This is not what this cover was for us.
No.
Apparently, a 92% official Xbox magazine German issue. It says.
Wow.
Why do they specify the German issue?
I remember
Look
that
at that evil man's face
so
on the
many
cover.
I know, dude.
I thought you were talking about for some reason Battle.
So the guy in the
Think this
fucking
guy looks evil to you? He looks like a
No. Just go to the pan to
Oh,
your
this
left.
guy here.
Yeah, that guy's like, oh fuck,
Do
I
you
got
know what?
Jaeger mad.
Do you know what anime game I'm talking about that I was also out on around that time? Is like your jet could like morph into like a robot.
This chat now?
Fuck.
It's like a Robotech.
Go-
kind of
so-
battle.
Zone of the
Robotech. Maybe
Enders.
it's Robotech. Maybe it is Robotech.
Look
that
at this
I'm thinking
guy's
of.
eyes. Can you see?
Yeah, it was Robotech. That's what I was thinking of initially.
Do you see his eyes?
Ah!
One
freaking
eye is
out.
way bigger than the other.
Jaeger!
That's weird, man. I want to say thank you to Spoony Bob, who I believe was the first person to guess it correctly in chat,
Well done.
which is especially noteworthy considering chat didn't get it instantaneously. So, grats to you
Yeah.
again.
Seriously. Awesome. Nick's Weird Games. Hey, everybody. That'll do it. That's our show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here for another week of Roundtable Live. We are here every Friday. Try to be here every Friday at 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern Time.
I will not be here next week.
Mathis will not be here next week.
I'm
He's gonna
following
be-
in Ryan's footsteps, and I'm going esports.
Nice. There we go.
So-
I'm excited for that.
Should be fun.
What team are you gonna join?
I don't know if I'm assuming I'll be assigned a team, but here's the scary part. So it's for MXM, which is NCSoft's MOBA.
Yeah.
But like they actually have professional like MOBA players coming to play in the
Jesus.
tournament. So I'm gonna get fucked.
You're
Like, I'm just
getting
gonna
paid
die.
to go get your ass beat a little bit by pro players, right?
Yeah, it's like Dyrus he was team solo mid for League of Legends. Like
yeah.
I'm gonna get shit on. So that should be fun.
Cool.
Yesterday, you told me you couldn't talk about it.
Today it was announced.
You had an NDA.
Yeah,
And
but now-
today on our show,
It was announced. I'm allowed to talk about it now. I wasn't allowed to talk about it till it was announced, and then they put up a website with me on it and stuff. So,
Oh
So I'm
shit!
gonna
You
get
got your
shit
face on there?
oh hell yeah!
Where's that at?
NDA, not that harsh.
Go to MXM's like Twitter and just go to their announcement
All right, hold on.
thing.
I gotta find this. This is important. While I'm finding this, I'll tell you guys, thank you very much again for watching the show this week. Feel free to go over to our Twitter. That is at Roundtable PC. You can also follow the show discussion subreddit over on roundtablepodcast.reddit.com. I can't find this website, man.
And thank you to everybody
Hang
that joined the Patreon again.
Yes.
This just the other day, I put out a thing on Twitter, and a bunch of people joined. Appreciate it very, very much. Anybody else that wants to, we appreciate you too.
We really appreciate it. We want to thank those who have been at the $20 level and above. We really appreciate it a lot. There's quite a few new entries on this list as well. That'd be Julian Avelsgaard, Jonathan Graham, Scrotty119, Lord Malice, Sehoa, Jamie Tinsley, Joseph Boss, Penn Gillette, Michael Bush Larson, Talks to Wall, TJ Majesty, Chaos Ain't Nothing But a Briefing Theorist, Colby Klein, Greenlight, Orin Saltzman, Christopher Flagg, Eric Schooley, Brizzle Brip,
It's a broken
Positron,
picture.
Myth Scarab, Mediocrities, Justin, Smurfette, and Logan Ray. Thank you guys very, very much for those big contributions over there on patreon.com/roundtable. You got it?
Don't shit on me, Ryan. This is a celebrity tournament. That's what it's marketed as. All right.
No champions of fire.
Fucking
You're no
famous.
celebrity. God damn it.
Thank you all very much. We really appreciate the support over on patreon.com/roundtable. You can go support it. It's just $2 or $3 a month. If you've been enjoying the show for the 2 years we've been running it, felt like contributing a little bit financially, really goes a long way. So we really thank you very much for doing that. And thank you for watching. We'll be back next week. We'll have a new Mathis. Don't know who that'll be yet. We'll
finally.
figure it out. And,
Austin or Rob, that's my money.
good bet. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Later.
Later.
Bye.